risk of falling asleep or something. Yeah, I get it.
I'm just gonna stay up. I'll probably be up late anyway.
Bet you will. You dog. Hey, you seem to like it, man. Happy for you, bro.
Welcome back, Illumineers, to Bologna. We did have some technical difficulties here in the venue. The game has been paused, and we're going to be jumping back underway as soon as we possibly can. There was a bit of a power outage here in the building, but our wonderful team is working really hard to get everything. Oh, I think my mic's just gone live. Welcome back, everyone.
If you're only just hearing us, welcome back. If you did hear Spessy, then great. If not, I'll just repeat it. A slight technical issue in the building, a power problem, but we are keen to try and get you the continuation of the Disney Lorcana Challenge as soon as we can. While we're waiting for that, just a quick recap of the event. The beautiful Bologna in Italy. 8 rounds of Swiss yesterday, 4 rounds of Swiss to start us off this morning. Cut to top 32. This is actually a question I wouldn't mind running by you, Spessy, until we're ready to jump in. What do you think of the new format, the change to cut 30 to top 32 instead?
I like it.
You a fan?
Yeah, more Disney Lorcana is being played. We've gone from 2-game format, which I personally liked a lot.
I liked it as well.
To best of 3. But with the fact we've got more rounds of Swiss now, and it's best of 3 instead of 2-game format, players are playing a lot more Disney Lorcana, and that's why we're here at the end of the day, isn't it?
That is why we're here, and it does seem like we are ready to go to the game in just 30 seconds. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, please accept our apologies for the power outage and the stream going off, but we are dedicated to seeing this through to the bitter end. We will crown a DLC Bologna champion and find out who is going to earn themselves that invite to the World Championships. But we are off and away.
Yeah, let's see if we can catch up. Remember, it's Lucas who missed that turn 2 ramp. We saw Lucas play sail on their 3rd turn to ink twice. That's why they're at 4 ink. Nick's then just taken his 4th turn and played the Dumbo down on the board. So we saw Lucas play Rafiki on 1. We saw no sail on turn 2 from Lucas, but the turn 3 sail into double inking. And this is now Lucas's 4th turn. Nick's curve was pretty clear. It was Palace Guard, Calhoun, Genie, Dumbo. And then for Lucas, it was Rafiki, pass, sail on 3, and it is now their 4th turn.
Yeah, I thought that we saw the turn 2 ramp, but instead going for it a turn later. And I wonder, while we've been waiting to come back on, what's been going through the minds of these two players, thinking out as many of the lines as they possibly can, the possibilities. We are going to play that Elsa 5th Spirit. This is what you foresaw happening, Spessy. The Calhoun being exerted and the okay, this makes a lot more sense. I like that. Getting rid of this Genie, Satisfied Dragon, the evasive keyword, can answer the Elsa in response. So get that out of there. The Dumbo could still finish off the Elsa, though. So Nick not in a terrible position here. It is game 2. Lucas won game 1 on the play. Can Nick take us to a game 3?
Yeah, the Calhoun, not much of a threat as it's not evasive. We're going to see the Elsa for Nick. That is the problem, though, with challenging with Elsa and 3 damage being on her. It does open her up to the Elsa response. It's going to be the triple quest now for Nick, going up, I believe, to 6 lore. Might just be at 3. We'll get that confirmed for you very soon. Lucas, though, at 0. Now, Baker, I did use the little break as an opportunity to check in on the other semi-final, which is Emerald Steel versus Amethyst Steel. And Emerald Steel struck first in that one, taking a 1-0 lead. So Emerald Steel is 1 game away, Baker, at booking its place into the grand final.
And down comes TikTok. Oh, I'm very excited to see some Emerald Steel. That is definitely not what I expected activated. Yeah, the TikTok coming down for Lucas, just this 4/7 evasive character, 6 cost. Again, a little more expensive than the Iago Giant Spectral Parrot, but with 1 more willpower and the absence of that vanish keyword. And of course, this TikTok is going to be able to easily answer the opposing Dumbo. Perhaps we can combine it with something else, a Hypnotic Strength or something to get rid of the I mean, the Elsa's already got 2 damage on it. So we eat it. This Crocodile, the ever-present pursuer, is looking for a snack.
Yeah, and I was saying previously, just before the little outage we had there, that turn 2 ramp being missed, it's really easy to think that that is a really disastrous moment for Lucas. But honestly, the important thing is that then the card they drew off the top the next turn was that Sail the Azurite Sea. And even though you're ramping on 3 instead of 2, it's still a lot better than not ramping at all. And I think Lucas is still in a pretty good position here, but Nick starting to go wide. This is the main line we're going to see from Amethyst Steel. One thing that this Amethyst Sapphire deck can't do very well is answer multiple cards at once. There's no be prepared in this control deck, Baker, as I'm sure you're aware.
I'm kind of aware. It makes me sad. But yeah, that was always the issue with Blurple pre-rotation. It was a very fun rogue deck, and it could certainly do some things, but unable to answer a wide board. So Lucas is definitely fighting from uphill here. We see Nick Pham playing the Jafar Royal Vizier, who's a 2-cost inkable 3/2, quest for 1, and gains evasive during our turn. So just another target for the Dumbo, but he's not going to get a chance to make history with TikTok coming in and gobbling up the elephant. And there's the Bell. Yeah,
Bell and TikTok combined. Bell, one of the most powerful cards in Disney Lorcana right now. I love the Enchanted Bell as well. I got to say, it's my chase card of the set. I did get a Dumbo, so I can't complain, but I would happily trade it for a Bell. So
if you see Spessy and you want an Enchanted Dumbo, he is offering his Bell. I want the Hades, man. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, and the Scar, but the Hades is the most playable one. To be fair, Scar put in a lot of work today. I would love to talk about it, but that's not what we're seeing here. We're going to see paying 5 ink for another Elsa who's going to exert that Bell Accomplished Mystic. We're going to put 2 damage on it, courtesy of the Elsa, and then taking 4, and then I expect the Calhoun, to finish the job and gain 2 lore. And so far, this is looking super good for Nick. Lucas has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ink. I'm not sure. We have a couple of cards in hand, so potentially a Hades is the counterplay for Lucas here to try and slow things down. But Nick going to 15 lore, Spessy.
Nick is 5 away, and there's 4 characters on the board, so they are a giant Cobra away from victory. And Lucas, if they want to deny the Cobra being a win condition for Nick, needs to remove 3 of these characters.
That's an awful lot to ask for Blurple. Again, Hades can do 1 of them, but Nick very much in the driver's seat here. We see the Genie Wish Fulfill going to draw us a card with the What Comes Next ability. Iago into the Inkwell, and a 1 jump ahead. We're going to help us ramp a bit more.
Yeah, 2 characters need to be removed by Lucas. My mistake on that one. Let's see if they can do it. Well, Elsa's going down. There's now 3 lore on the board for Nick, so a Cobra would still win Nick the game. Can Lucas remove it? A giant Cobra right now for Nick would seal the deal,
or double
but do they have it?
Was that it? Did he just draw it? I may be gaslighting the chat, but that kind of looked like the art of giant Cobra. Also, maybe 2 white roses.
Yep. That would be quite a spectacular way to do it. Strength of a Raging Fire, 3 ink.
It is. And the giant Cobra gains the 2 lore, which is all that Nick needed. He's going to quest out and go all the way to 20. And we're going to get a game 3, Spessy. That's what we love to see.
Yeah, absolutely fantastically done. And that's how you see Amethyst Steel doing the business against the Sapphire Amethyst player, developing that wide board, developing lots of questers. They might only quest for 1, but if I've got 6 characters, Baker, and you've only got 1, I am going to be questing for 5 or 6 lore every single turn. Let's take a look at the deck list from Lucas.
Here we go. What a treat. Lucas on Blurple. We see those 3 Basil Practice Detective, which have come a bit of a staple in the Blurple matchup. Great for combining with the Elsa 5th Spirit to remove Genies and Dumbos. We do see a couple of Madam Mim Elephants in the list as well. Fantastic tool in the aggro matchup, and even into Amethyst Steel, really. You can certainly get some use out of this. And, of course, being able to bounce our characters back to hand, like the ever-impressive Infernal Schemer Hades, maybe an Elsa. We know how good Elsa can be. And there's 2 copies of that Ursula voice stealer, Joe. Does that surprise you?
Not massively. I mean, 1 is what we tend to see. if any, probably 0, most common, but 2 is just showing how much Lucas values this card. And as I expected, 1 copy of One Jump Ahead, as well as a copy of Magical Maneuvers is fascinating. But I think we're also going to be able to take a quick look at the deck list for Nick Pham with the Fire the Cannons, 2 copies of Bell, 2 copies of Fire the Cannons as well, 2 copies of that Madam Mim Tiny Adversary. There's 4 copies of a lot of the cards we expect, Baker. Only 3 Calhouns catches the eye there as well.
Certainly does. Probably just trying to lower that uninkable count a tad. But I'm very interested in 3 copies of Royal Vizier. Again, the evasive keyword is very important in our meta. Synergizes very well with the Dumbo. Even more Jafars, the aspiring rulers that can give Challenger 2. But this Madam Mim Tiny Adversary, Spessy, I've spoken to a lot of players about this card. There's been some debate in the community about just how good it is. Most of the players I spoke to today said that it was pivotal in the Amber Steel matchup. It really fixes your math into things like daisies and the such like. So I bet these tiny adversaries, the Skater Mim, as the community are calling it, or at least I'm calling it, has put in some work today. But I ask you, Joe, Nick Pham was the first seed. He finds himself in the semi-finals of the Bologna DLC. Maybe he's right, and 2 copies of the Ursula Voice Stealer is correct and optimal. Again, just to make sure you're hitting this turn 5 exert an opposing character. Thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I think that clearly this deck is working really well from the man from France. It is a very interesting deck list because we're seeing lots of cards with 1 or 2 copies, 2 Ursulas, one jump ahead, 1 dig a little deeper, 1 magical maneuvers. And this is the kind of deck building that is very different to the deck building we see, for example, from Ed Chu, the North American champion. When we see Ed decks, we tend to see 4 copies of every single card. He says he values that consistency.
Sure.
Well, Lucas clearly having a different philosophy and really valuing the tech cards, especially those inkable tech cards like the Ursula Voice Stealer. When it's good, it's good. And when it's not so good, it's ink.
It's a strategy that we've seen players like Frank Karsten employ through his deck building. He loves a few cheeky one-offs, and that's a player that's found a lot of success in the Disney Lorcana TCG. So varying points of view about Lorcana can still be absolutely valid. But here we go, Illumineers. This is game 3, top 4 of the Disney Lorcana Challenge here in Bologna, Italy. Lucas will be on the play. What are we looking for if we're Lucas?
Well, Lucas is used to being on the play, securing that first seed. They will be going on the play every single game 1 in this top cut. So Lucas is just going to look to do what they've been doing. Find that consistent curve, find the ramp, and then just maximize the resourcing and get every little bit of ink of value out of those cards.
I loved that turn. Inking Rafiki and playing no 1-drops, valuing the extra cards in hand, knowing quite well that we're probably putting a Tipo down on the next turn. We're going to see the Captain Hook as the follow-up. I'm a big fan of that turn. We don't necessarily need this Rafiki straight away, but it may be an uninkability problem as well, Spessy.
Yeah, it absolutely could be. It's always the sign of a good player, I think, inking a 1-drop and then passing.
Yep. Dumbo into the inkwell. Not going to be making history anytime soon. And we do see the growing sun, the role that I am desperate to see Spessy starring in one day. He's going to ramp us. Of course, this is from hand. It can be an uninkable.
The other thing I love about the 1 jump ahead in Lucas's deck is it's not dead if you play Tipo. We saw them in game 1 singing the 1 jump ahead with Tipo. And how far ago? We know it was one of the best Sapphire cards in our core constructed before rotation. It doesn't exist anymore. So getting that extra bit of ramp in is quite difficult. And Tipo being a perfect singer for that 1 jump ahead, it gives you, of course, that extra consistency, but that extra ramp, as we see the Genie, is also an interesting option with the 1 jump ahead and Tipo to look out for.
It certainly is. Nick able to get a cheeky quest out with the Forceful Duelist Captain Hook. Tipo not quite up to the job. It maybe was a little risky because we could have seen a Hypnotic Strength, but then the Calhoun would have had a fantastic clapback. Lucas playing a Genie, drawing a card and passing. And once again, every turn 3 from Nick, we have seen this Satisfy Dragon.
5 ink is what Lucas can be at this turn. And Baker, there is a Amethyst 5 cost card, which I think is the best card in the game right now. Ursula Voice Stealer into the ink. There she is, the Elsa 5th Spirit. So much pressure being exerted by this Elsa.
That is going to ruin Nick's day. Like I said, this Genie being a 3-4 quest for 1, gaining evasive during your turn. It's so important for the Genies, for the Elsas, for the Dumbos. We know there are Madam Mim tiny adversaries in the deck that can boost it up to be able to one-shot a Genie. We're going to see a Genie over on Nick's side, but yeah, that's exactly what Lucas wanted to see. And again, emphasizing the importance of turn 5. It exerts an opposing character. But Joe, worth noting, Ursula there would not have been enough to get the job done. You would have had to have gone in with the Tipo and the Genie, and it still wouldn't have been enough. So clearly Elsa the better card, but Voice Stealer putting in some work.
Yeah, Voice Stealer, of course, has some interesting synergies, and you would imagine as we get more sets, Baker, there might be more songs which people want to put into these Amethyst decks, and we might see Ursula Voice Stealer become even more popular. I got to say, the more I see the deck list from Lucas, the more I love it. So much consistency on that turn 2 and that 5 ink play. Iago into the ink. That's another benefit of this illusion. While it's a risky character to play in the early game, you can just ink it. And when your opponent's starved of resources, like we saw Lucas do in game 1, that's when Iagos have a splash.
And here's the Bell Accomplished Mystic. As you said, one of the best cards in the game at the moment. Going to move 3 damage counters from the Elsa onto the Calhoun. Obviously, moving damage counters ignores resist, but even if it didn't, that would have been enough to get rid of the Marine Sergeant. Elsa going on a cheeky little quest, and I think that's Lucas's first lore of the game.
Absolutely, it certainly is. So Nick is in the lead, 2 lore to 1, but for how long that remains to be seen. Genie with 3 damage counters still on it. Imagine, Baker, if Lucas has another Bell up their sleeve.
This Bell really, like you said earlier, and I couldn't agree with you more, mate. In pre-rotation, it felt super reasonable. It was always a good card. Post-rotation, moving 3 damage seems dummy Braxton broken, but Lucas certainly enjoying it. We're seeing this Fire the Cannons is going to finish off the Genie.
Yeah, nice use of Fire the Cannons. We saw Nick do something similar in game number 1, and Nick's doing a good job of clawing their way back into this one, just trying to get a little foothold in the game. The Elsa and the Bell were so strong from Lucas, but credit to Nick where it's due. They are staying in this one for now.
He's come this far. He's not going to give up easily. We're going to play 4 for the Dumbo, the 9th wonder of the universe. And we're going to immediately utilize the breaking records ability, making Elsa exert. We're going to pay 1 ink, gain 1 lore, draw 1 card. And this is, again, the reason why you want to have answers to these evasive characters. We already know that Genies are very, very aggressive. You need to have answers to them. And this Dumbo can absolutely run away with the game drawing cards if you don't interfere with it.
Yeah, this is a good example for Nick where the Madam Mim Skater, the tiny adversary, would be a really powerful card. Suddenly that Captain Hook, out of nowhere, would have 4 strength to challenge and trade with this spell. So while the Madam Mim is a 2-cost character, it's at stages like this in the game that it can be most impactful to catch your opponent off guard.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Tiny Adversary. I think it's such a fantastic math fixer. And again, it's inkable, as you were saying earlier about Iago, Joe. You don't need it. You put it into the inkwell. Nick slowing down. With the pace of play has been pretty good so far from these players. Nick identifying that this is a pivotal turn, clearly looking at the cards in his hand, and he has multiple lines to choose from. We are at 2 lore to 5. Lucas's board is slightly wider, but Nick with a couple of Genies and a Captain Hook, it is by no means over.
And remember, the other semi-final, Baker, it's Amethyst Steel versus Emerald Steel. Lucas is the last Sapphire player remaining in Disney Lorcana Challenge Bologna. But of course, as that first seed, you have to say they are the favourite. Nick here is on the draw, looking to break serve. And if they can do it, they will find themselves in the final.
And what a moment that's going to be. I'm super excited to see who's going to be the first to qualify for the World Championship. Is that 5 ink exerted? Maybe more. It is 5. Elsa the 5th Spirit going to exert that Dumbo, and he is probably not long for the storybook. Do we have any? No, I don't think we've inked for turns, so maybe ink and a cannons, but I imagine it's going to be Elsa and Genie into the Dumbo. A 2 for 1. You're still a bit behind, though. This Bell questing for 2 is so much pressure. This Bell is so good, man.
Yeah, 4-4 stat line, quest for 2, heals one of your characters, puts in damage to an opposing character. What more could you want? And you can even shift it if you really so desire, just to add to the utility of this character. There are some situations where you actually shift your bell onto your own bell. We see
Have you seen that this weekend?
I have. I actually saw a moment where someone forgot that they could do it, and their opponent explained, well, there was a line. It was actually at the CCQ last weekend in the semi-final. After the game happened, their opponent said, there was a line you had, you could have gone bell, shift bell, and you could have stayed in the game. So it is something that can come up.
I'm going to keep an eye out for that one in the future. We're going to see the Tipo removed, the Genie going to go on a little quest for a couple of lore, and suddenly Nick's board looks a little bit better than Lucas's. 4 lore to 5. I think that's just 3 cards in Lucas's hand, so it is still all to play for here at DLC Bologna.
Wow. There it is.
That's a second star to the right.
Together 10, and suddenly Lucas draws 5 cards. And look at Nick's face. Like, okay, yep, that just happened. And if you're Nick now, Baker, and you see Lucas with that many cards in hand and all that ink still available, you know that you probably are going to lose the long game here, and you need to start questing and developing as wide a board as possible.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do to compete with a second star to the right. Even if we had one of our own, it tends to be whoever plays it first and can benefit from it is in a very strong position. So yeah, Nick probably going to identify that he just needs to put on the gas right now. We're going to draw a card. Is it a good one? Was that another strength for a Raging Fire?
Didn't catch that, Baker, but this second star to the right is a one-of copy in Lucas's deck. So he found the card when he needed it. In comes Dumbo. Now, Dumbo at this stage in the game, Baker, while it's a 4-drop, most effective when played at a moment like this with evasive characters ready to go.
This TikTok as well, just such a big body. It's going to be able to eat so much of Nick's board. Oh,
sounds like the other semi-final might have just finished. I've heard some big celebrations. So it seems as though when this one's finishing, we should be able to hop in with the final pretty quickly indeed. There's been a lot of reactions in the building today. There was an iconic pulled earlier on, and there was a big scream. I also heard a big celebration in the top 8, which was the sound of someone winning a golden Mickey Mouse.
Amazing. Again, like, this is life-changing for some people, right? And I keep saying this, Joe. I think we've got a lot of really hungry players. They saw the first season of Lorcana. Maybe they played in some events, but didn't make it to the top cut of nationals, didn't make it to the World Championships, and they've seen that play out and said, that is going to be me next season.
Baker, Nick is in a very decent position. If you're Nick, would you take this position if you offered it to him at the start of the best of 3, being 10 lore ahead or 5 lore ahead at this stage? Perhaps Nick's Dumbo's exerted. TikTok is going to challenge the Dumbo. Of course, Lucas absolutely still very much in this game, but Nick is really putting up a fight here.
Yeah, we're going to move put the TikTok into the Dumbo, gobble, and then double L to take out a Genie, take away some of the pressure. And here's an Into the Unknown, removing the other Genie. I don't think that was the Genie's wish.
Just like that. Who needs Be Prepared, Baker? Certainly Lucas doesn't. What a turn that was. Utilizing the song cards, Elsa exerting characters. Amethyst, we know it's a ink color which loves to draw cards, but right now it's also looking like it's really good at controlling the board as well.
What world are we living in where Sapphire has the most dominant removal cards in the game? Amethyst has always been good. Ruby definitely losing a lot of his identity. We're going to see the Bell, a fantastic cop, going to move 3 damage from the TikTok and remove that Bell. And this TikTok is a huge body, but only quests for 1. So we have definitely put Lucas on a much longer clock turn to get to game.
Yeah, it's 10 lore to 5. Nick with, I believe, 2 or 3 cards in hand. Lucas, of course, having played that second star to the right, also has an abundance of options. Nick going to be passing on over to Lucas, who draws a card to start their turn. Nick did quest for 1, so they're 9 lore away. Of course, with that Cobra in the deck, Baker, if you start getting up to 16 lore, if you're Nick, a couple of Cobras could quickly seal the deal.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to respect the ability for these Amethyst Steel decks to just make lore gains in the form of, as you say, a Giant Cobra, White Roses, things like that. You want to get into that danger zone where all it's going to take is a couple of Cobras, a couple of White Roses to seal the deal. We're going to see the Manamim Elephant coming down, bouncing that Elsa to the hand, establishing a very bulky girl, but perhaps more importantly, Joe, resetting that Elsa. And she's back. The Fifth Spirit going to exert down that bell. TikTok is going to eat her up, and suddenly Lucas back in what seems like a dominating position. Can Nick prove me wrong? He's got a wide grip.
Yeah, the Madamim Elephant just returning a character back to your hand is so good with this much ink. The White Rose, though, ticking along. Surely not, Nick. What was this turn? Nick with 2 lore out of nowhere and 2 characters ready to quest. Nick is creeping towards that 20 lore.
Double White Rose, 2 cards still in hand for Nick. Lucas's board is nice and wide, but everything only questing for 1 until, of course, we throw down this Genie. He's going to draw another card. We still have, I think, 5 ink to play with, perhaps 4, but we can ink for turn. And there's the Finders Keepers, Aladdin, and we're going to draw 3 cards. This is a slow card, Joe, but with this board, I think you can afford to take this turn off.
Yeah, and Lucas just going to be looking for answers for the next turn. With playing this Finders Keepers this turn, it means if he finds something like Hades, for example, Lucas is going to be able to play it next turn. Basil joins the party, and Lucas's characters are going to go questing. That's a quest for 4, up to 9 lore. There is 4 lore between these players, but if the White Roses quest, Nick is up to 15, and those Cobras, if Nick can find them, are going to be getting him increasingly closer to 20.
Yeah, there's a Diablo, a Calhoun, and a Genie in hand, and we're going to see all of them throw down. These White Roses are going to quest up to 15. So we are actually threatening a story on board, Joe. Are you proud of me?
Yeah, good job, mate. Very nicely done. Lucas draws for turn.
This Basil, like, first time we've seen it this match, and it seems like it's been quite an important part of the other Blurpool decks we've seen over the weekend. Just synergizes so well with the Elsa and the Genie, but we're seeing it for the first time this match here.
And you asked me, Baker, about what do I think about the rotation of Fabled, and these are the kinds of board states we're just not used to seeing so much previously. Without a board clear, these kinds of board states become even more common, and honestly the decision making is so much more intricate and difficult. So many different options. We see the double sail from Lucas. What is Lucas looking for right now? Nick does have story on board and of course no cards in hand, so the Cobra not an immediate threat, although Doc into Cobra would be a way of Nick gaining 2 lore next turn without needing to quest. So Lucas, knowing that, might just want to be trying to keep Nick from only getting 2 lore from questing next turn, just denying as much lore as possible, because there is a window of opportunity here for Nick to win. If Nick draws the Doc into Cobra exactly, they have a real chance of winning here, Baker.
I think you've got a good point. Another burst of applause from outside. Maybe the last one was the ending of one game. It seems like another one is done, or perhaps the whole match, but you're absolutely right. Not a board state we're used to seeing. Day 36 without B-Prep. I am crashing out. Here's the Ursula Voice Stealer.
Exerting the Genie, and listen, Elsa's good, but so's this Ursula, and Into the Unknown is played for free with that Ursula. In comes Rafiki to join the fun, and now Lucas puts his hand down and starts thinking about what they will be doing. I would imagine both of these White Roses will be challenged. That would mean that it's Calhoun and Diablo. But Baker, if Calhoun is left on the board and has something to challenge, that would mean that Nick is still able to win with a Doc and with a Cobra off the top. So Lucas here needs to make sure that they don't give anything to the Calhoun to challenge and banish.
Yeah, there are certainly lines to victory for Nick, despite the very oppressive board that Luke has been able to build. We're going to double into the Basil with, into the White Rose with the Basil, and the Elsa could have quested and just boost up the strength there.
Yeah, but again, Lucas
don't want to leave the target.
Sees the Calhoun,
You're right.
And it's so heads up, just gets rid of the Basil. Poor old Basil, he wanted to be supporting, but Lucas had other ideas, and suddenly, even that Doc into Giant Cobra would not be enough for Nick. What do they find? Lucas with story on board. There is how many characters?
We've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lore on board, courtesy of 7 characters.
Yep, Calhoun not able to remove anything from the board here. Let's not forget that Madam Mim Elephant at the start of Lucas's turn is able to move 2 damage counters from themselves onto one of Nick's cards.
Joe, it's great to be back in the booth with you, man.
It's good fun.
There's a lot of fun, man. I'm having a great time. This has been a banger of a match, a heck of a semi-final, and I feel like we're on the precipice of its ending.
Yeah, we could also see Nick taking an unorthodox line here. If they're not happy with the card that they have in hand, if they just don't have enough to win from this position, we might see the Diablo challenging the Madam Mim. This is going to give Nick one more opportunity to find what they need to stay in this game. White Rose!
Oh, that's one lore. That's going to take us to 16. We know this Calhoun could quest to 17. How many cards in hand left for Nick? We're looking at playing another one for Diablo. Is that the lot?
And it's going to be a quest, and that means that Lucas is free to go. Story is on board. Lucas will ready, set, draw, and quest to 20.
Starry Store attained. Fantastic game. And Lucas takes it 2-1 and will be proceeding to the finals of the Disney Lorcana Challenge here in Bologna, Italy. And you hear the crowd. Hopefully you can hear them. It's fantastic to be back in a full venue, man.
Yeah, absolutely. What a final that was. Blurple takes it down. Sapphire Amethyst is in the final, and it is the top seed, so will be on the play. But let's not forget, Baker, we don't just have a best of 3 in the final. We have a best of 5 coming your way. So much Disney Lorcana TCG action still to come. And of course, Milwaukee DLC in North America right around the corner. And let's not forget about that set championships, Baker, the Maleficent Monstrous Dragon promo card. Check out Ravensburger Play Hub store locator to find a local store near you and get yourself down and start competing and winning some awesome prizes. And who knows, maybe you'll make some friends along the way. I know we certainly have.
We certainly have, man. I've got to get my hands on that Maleficent playmat. A huge congratulations to our Blurple player and commiserations to Amethyst Steel. Honestly, they've had an incredible run. These players, let's not forget, are qualified, Joe, for the European Championship. So when that comes later next year, we are 100% going to be excited to see these guys again. Joe, what a pleasure to be back in the booth with you, man. We've had a lot of fun. I think we're going to be I'm not sure if we're going to a promo video or if we're going to a quick break before the finals, but this is my last cast of the day. Your finals will be cast by the ultimate specimen, Joe Curley, and the wonderful Kawa. I'm very excited to watch you two guys cook. If you don't mind me, Joe, because we don't get many chances to do it anymore, I'd like to sign us off in a little way.
It would be rude not to.
It would be rude not to. We've got the grand finals of the Disney Lorcana Challenge coming very soon. Don't go anywhere. Be prepared.
Welcome back to Bologna. I am joined by Kawa. How's it going, Kawa?
I am beyond excited to be casting the grand final of the Disney Lorcana Challenge here in Bologna alongside you, my friend Joe.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. And we've actually just bumped in to the finalists in the bathroom area where we were all getting a little bit of a break, and we told him the news that he would be up against Amethyst Steel in the final. And Kawa, what was it he said exactly?
He had a little chuckle to himself, and I think he was quite pleased. You guys just finished casting a Blurple versus Amethyst Steel matchup, and it was very, very close.
It was.
So, but I think, throughout the entire day, we've kind of been talking a lot about this matchup, and usually what ends up happening is that the later the game goes, the more favored the Blurple player is. So Amethyst Steel really has to come out of the gates strong and has to really utilize a lot of their cards that have a lot of reach, like the Giant Cobra, the White Rose, right? So, but I'm still really excited to see how this match is going to go, because if this weekend's proved anything, I've just been thoroughly surprised by the power and the performance of Amethyst Steel against all these Blurple decks.
Yeah, and I think the phrase was something like, "Oh, please, no Emerald Steel, thank you." I think maybe even Emerald Steel. I mean, I've talked to a lot of the top players here in Bologna, people like Dingham Fan, people like Ed, and they said, look, Emerald Steel, pretty good deck, but it struggles against Sapphire Amethyst. So I was a little bit surprised to hear that reaction, but of course, just very comfortable and confident against the Sapphire Amethyst. Let's take another quick look at the top 8, and it is an all-France final. Lucas versus Vincent, both representing France. I think the French community in Disney Lorcana is the biggest, arguably, in Europe and has some of the best players. Last year in Bologna, we saw Ely from France win the DLC, and we are going to have a French champion once again.
Yes, indeed. And these French players have been extremely strong within the competitive Disney Lorcana scene. We recently had a CCQ take place within France in Annecy, I believe.
Sure.
And it was also a Sapphire Amethyst player that took the win at that event. And yeah, and there's been so much innovation within a lot of these French Blurple lists, such as the 4-cost Inkable Kida that we've seen, that has Ward, which is really good in a lot of different matchups, has that ramp ability on Exert as well, and then also the Rider as well.
Yes.
Super cool. So we're going to be taking a look at the deck list here for Lucas. Talking about it, Joe.
Yeah, so this is the deck list from Lucas, the Amethyst Sapphire player, the only Amethyst Sapphire player in the top 8, but crucially that top seed. So they are going to be on the play in game number 1 in this best of 5. 1 copy of Dig a Little Deeper, 1 copy of One Jump Ahead, 1 copy of Magical Maneuvers, 1 copy of Second Star to the Right. And 1 copy of Elsa, Spirit of the Winter. When I'm building my decks, Cree, I tend to go for ×4 of everything. I like that consistency. Lucas with a very different approach. I particularly love that 1 copy of One Jump Ahead and those 2 Ursula voice stealers. I am just absolutely amazed by this. If I'm playing against a Sapphire Amethyst player, Kawa, I am just hoping that when they're at 2 ink, they don't have Tipo, they don't have Sail. Well, if you play against Lucas, you also have to hope that they don't have the 1 jump ahead.
Indeed, and I have to say, I actually love a lot of these 1 and 2 ofs within this deck, particularly the Ursula voice stealer. Some players kind of calling this like some extra Elsas, because exerting a character is so powerful. The 1 copy of Magical Maneuvers, this is a card I've loved to see not only in Blurple decks but also in Amethyst Steel decks. It allows you to exert chosen character, and then you can also return a friendly character back to your hand. That means you can really utilize a lot of these very powerful on-play abilities within Sapphire Amethyst, and those such as the Genie Wish Fulfilled, the Elsa the 5th Spirit, to continue exerting and disrupting your opponent's game plan.
Absolutely.
And most notably as well, the Hades Infernal Schemer.
Another little bonus fact or fun use case for the Magical Maneuvers is the fact that it is an action that can target opposing characters, which is Iago's worst nightmare. Well, Lucas isn't too concerned about his Iago vanishing because they play 4 copies of the giant spectral parrot. However, it's going to be open deck lists, so Lucas's opponent is going to know exactly what is in the list. Let's take a look at the Amethyst Steel list.
Absolutely amazing here. We've seen Amethyst Steel really present within this tournament this weekend, and I have to say one of the key cards I just talked about is this Giant Cobra Ghostly Serpent. This gives the players so much reach in this deck, and I have to say I've really been loving the Yzma Conniving Chemist as well. This is an additional card as well as Doc Bold Knight that allows you to keep the gas flowing. You need to be constantly drawing cards within this deck, but there is something very important about the amount of copies of Doc Bold Knight within this deck. Talk to me about this, Joe.
Three Doc. I am pretty surprised to see that, as I'm sure many people in the chat are. Doc, one of the best cards in Disney Lorcana to refill the hand, draw more cards, but when paired with Amethyst, to be fair, you have Genie, you have Yzma, you might even have Dolores Madrigal, but not in this case, but you also have, of course, Dumbo, let's not forget. Who could forget about good old Dumbo? What's the worst thing that can happen when you play Doc?
Indeed. I think this is
if you draw two.
There's a good reason why there's 3 copies in this deck, because if you draw 2, if you draw multiple copies of Doc, you have to play a Doc and then maybe even discard 2, or sometimes we've even seen some players do Doc, no trigger. You're simply playing a 2-cost 1/3 that's just sat there on the board.
Yeah, I've also wondered in an Amethyst Steel deck myself when I've been taking a look at lists, does it ever make sense to just play 3 copies of Genie, for example, for the same reason? You end up with Docs in hand, Genies in hand, but actually removing one of the Docs sounds quite good. I'm quite happy if I can get 2 Genies down on the board, but I'm not so enthused to have just 2 Docs down. If I'm playing Emerald Steel, for example, or if I'm playing Steel Ruby, I am playing 4 Docs every single time. But if ever there was a color pairing for Steel to remove a copy of the Bold Knight, you have to say it will be Amethyst.
Indeed, yeah. That's actually a great point you make about the Genie as well, because funnily enough, I've been looking at a lot of the deck lists from these previous CCQs that happened last weekend, and there were a couple of French players playing Sapphire Amethyst that did in fact cut down to 3 copies of Genie, and I honestly think it's for a very similar reason, drawing multiple copies of these cards.
Yeah, and also the Giant Cobra is not a brand new addition to these Amethyst Steels, but still relatively recent in the grand history of Disney Lorcana. I don't think that the Giant Cobra was around during the Paris World European Championships, for example. And that Giant Cobra just being able to discard a card from your hand and gaining 2 lore is a really good way of fixing if you've got Genies, if you've got Docs. But 4 Docs, 4 Genies, there's a lot of the time you end up with a Genie in hand when you really want to play Doc, and Doc in hand when you really want to ink something else to play the Genie.
Yeah, it can be quite awkward at times. And you mentioned cards like the Giant Cobra. I believe we did see 2 copies of White Rose as well. And cards like these are so important to be able to close out the games, particularly against decks like this Sapphire Amethyst deck. It is crucial that you turn on the gas as much as possible, and usually around that 14, 15, 16 lore mark, you need a little bit of extra reach to get there. And it's the cards like these that are going to be doing it. Previously, in the pre-rotation meta, we had cards like the Merlin Goat, which saw lots of play within the Season 1 challenge. But now, it's kind of been replaced by the likes of this White Rose and the Giant Cobra.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for Sapphire Amethyst, again, you're just looking here, being on the play. Of course, it is a best of 5, so you're going to most likely have 3 opportunities to go first, and you're going to be going second twice. That consistent game plan here is what has allowed them to be the top seed. That 1 extra ramp. Being the first seed has been so crucial. It's the only Sapphire Amethyst deck left in the whole of the top 8. Remember, Sapphire Amethyst was around 33%, 1/3 roughly of the total meta share of this tournament, but only 1 out of 8 of the top decks was this Sapphire Amethyst. So clearly it's a deck which really is getting that extra little kick by being on the play.
100%, yeah. And when this deck is on the play, it can do just like super consistent stuff. There are so many great openers, but one of the most consistent ones you'll see on turn 1, a card like a Basil, a Rafiki, or a Royal Guard established. The turn 2, as we've been mentioning the entire day, turn 2 ramp, so essential with that Tipo or the Sail, the Azurite. So you also in this deck list, the 1 jump ahead. But there's so many different lines you can take, but like one of the most common ones is you'll play a Genie, Wish Fulfilled, draw a card, follow that up with an Elsa Spirit of Winter, and suddenly
Elsa's so good.
That opener is so powerful, but also just so consistent. That's exactly what this Blurple player wants to be seeing going into this grand finals. And as you mentioned, this is going to be a best of 5. So players have to be they really have to be on it for this. You know, any mistakes, any misplays, it all comes down to this.
Yeah, it's no coincidence that the Sapphire Amethyst deck built with all that consistency was the top seed, and now they've just taken full advantage of that top seed by just continuing to play consistently, and that, I have to say, is a lovely hat in the finals. I'm sure B Squared is going to be particularly happy to see the bucket hat on the main stage.
I know you love a bucket hat too, John,
I do,
right? You
I do
indeed.
love a bucket hat.
Yeah.
That's a very colourful bucket hat, that's for sure. So both players are situated and sat down. It is an open deck list format, so the players are studying their opponents' lists, making sure they try and remember and memorize the counts of each of the cards. And memory is an underestimated and underappreciated skill involved in Disney Lorcana in general. Like, you look at your opponent's hands with an Ursula Deceiver. Can you remember what's exactly in there? They've inked a bunch of cards, but can you remember what they've inked? But that memory game becomes even more difficult and skill intensive when you're doing an open deck list best of 5. Because if we go to a game 5, this study time that the players have right now is going to come back to help them or haunt them.
Indeed, yeah. For example, we saw within this Amethyst Steel deck, as I mentioned, there are 2 copies of White Rose, and that's a type of card that this Blurple player is really going to have to recognize. Okay, how many of these copies, how many of these White Roses have been inked? How many are in the discard? It's all this type of stuff, because yes, Giant Cobra, you're able to discard a card and gain 2 lore, but it could come down to, okay, if my opponent has this specific card in their hand to simply end the game next turn, I have to try and play around this. So maybe they need to make one extra challenge that usually they may not make. That's a perfect example of why the memory game is so important within the Disney Lorcana TCG.
Yeah, we've got Lucas versus Vincent, the All-France final. Before we kick off, it would be remiss of us not to say a huge thank you to all of the players attending Bologna this weekend, all of the fans watching in the building and at home, and of course a huge thank you to our wonderful judge team who have been keeping the games flowing over the whole weekend.
Indeed, yeah, and shout out to everybody else. The production crew has been absolutely fantastic, making sure that we get this broadcast out to you guys. Shout out to all of you viewers at home watching this. You are what make these broadcasts happen. We are so hyped to be sharing the grand finals here with all of you. And shout out to the caster crew as well. We have an absolutely stellar team, not just us.
Yep.
We also have the Italian stream. So if you are from Italy and you want to watch
or
this
you
grand
speak
finals,
Italian,
or you speak Italian, that is very, very true. Be sure to head on over and check out the stream in Italian too.
Yeah, a huge shout out to Erica, Julia and Sylvia, our Italian colleagues. They have been working tirelessly, so hard, and putting in a huge shift to bring this broadcast to the Italian community in Italian. So if you want to go and check that one out, it is on the Disney Lorcana Italian channel. It might be the European.
It could be the European
Disney
one
Lorcana,
as well, yes.
But go into the Disney Lorcana category on Twitch, and we're sure you are going to find it. Just analysing the shuffling skills from both players. They're both looking pretty content, pretty happy. But of course, not only are the players playing for the trophy, for the clout, for the uncut sheets, but they are also playing for that wonderful World's Invitation.
It's going to be the very first one given out for this Season 2 of competitive Disney Lorcana. These are the players you're going to be seeing on the world stage. This could be, one of these 2 players could be the future world champion, Joe.
Yeah, it absolutely could happen. And let's just remind ourselves a little bit about the metagame of this weekend in Bologna, because this metagame, the results of this tournament are going to shape the local game store metagames around the world. We saw the Sapphire Amethyst deck as the most represented. We saw Amber Steel and Emerald Sapphire as the second and third. Amethyst Steel, which is of course in the final, the 4th most represented. Amber Emerald coming in 5th. Emerald Steel in 6th, and all of those decks made it to the top 8.
Indeed, I'm very impressed.
Maybe no Emerald Sapphire in the top 8 either, actually.
Possibly not, but overall, Specie, I am extremely happy with the spread of decks within the top 8. Yes, this Blurple player has been absolutely crushing it on the top seed, has the on-the-play advantage throughout the entire top 32. However, you have to give a huge props to all of these other players. If they're on Amber Emerald, if they're on Emerald Steel, it takes a lot of practice, training, and hard work to try and crack this metagame. So a huge shout out to everybody who's put in all of the hours of testing to prepare for this amazing event here in Bologna.
Who do you think's got the better shuffle? I always like looking at the shuffle. Nothing too spectacular on show, just some good, solid shuffling skills.
We've got a kind of vertical shuffle and a horizontal shuffle.
Yeah.
Are you a vertical or a horizontal, Joe?
I'm not sure I'm either, if I'm honest.
Okay, you're diagonal.
I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm just a bit of a messy shuffler. I'm often dropping cards on the floor.
I know, yeah. Back in the day, Joe, you were known to have your ink kind of all over the table.
I was.
And I think you've definitely improved
I'm working on it. I still need to tidy up my play and my table manners a bit, but as we go on, I'm sure to continue to improve. But these players are ready to go. Of course, 7 cards is going to be the opening hand for each player, and then they're going to be able to alter as many of those as possible. Here comes the fist bump. Let's kick off this final. It's a best of 5, and Lucas will be kicking things off. But here we have the altering phase. We know that Lucas is looking for the ramp, but Vincent going to be looking for loads of 1-drops. And the big question as an Amethyst Steel player here is how risky do you go? Do you just really try and find a really wide board? Lots of 1-drops? Do you mulligan away, you alter away cards like Dumbo, cards like Bell, and just hope to draw them down the line?
Yeah, it's super, super interesting. I think we all know the game plan on Lucas's side here. If they don't have that turn 2 ramp, oftentimes they're going to be altering all 7 cards, sending them back, really looking for that extremely strong and consistent opener. On Vincent's side, I think I agree with you, Joe. Really wants a lot of 1, 2, and 3 cost cards. Maybe a little bit of fuel in the hand as well, such as a Doc, a Yzma, that once all of the cards are gone, you can keep the game flowing.
Vincent's got to find like the perfect balancing act. They keep a Dumbo, they keep, I believe, a Jafar 2 cost, and it might have been a Genie as well. Like Vincent has to find the balancing act to like thread the perfect needle where they need to go wide and be quick, but they also need to still contest the board. We saw that Lucas in the semi-final masterfully managed their resources, finishing at 21 lore, or they could have got to 21 lore with no cards in hand. Like they just barely crossed the finish line. They got out every little bit of ink from their cards in terms of value. Vincent needs to do something similar because they are in a significantly disadvantaged position going second in this particular matchup. It's probably the worst matchup for Amethyst Steel in the game.
I think I have to agree, unfortunately, Joe. But, you know, we've seen Amethyst Steel beat plenty of Blurple players this weekend. I have to say, I've been extremely surprised, and I'm really glad that's the case. It really has some game. We are going to see the Tipo inked turn 1 here for Lucas.
Yeah, and that's not what I want to see if I'm Vincent, because Tipo into the ink.
What does that mean? It means that there's already some other form of ramp available on turn 2 for Lucas here.
It's going to be Smee into the ink, or the Mouche Mouche, as it's called in French. And in comes not happy, but joyeux.
Joyeux, what a fantastic name for this card. How do you feel about Happy in Amethyst Steel in general?
It's so good with the Dumbo, isn't it?
I love the fact that this combos so well with the Dumbo.
There is the Tipo, going to be putting a card from the hand into the inkwell, face down and exerted, and that is a great way of potentially getting rid of one of those clunky uninkables, like a second star to the right, perhaps. Vincent, though, not privy to the information. Tipo is keeping some secrets as the White Rose enters the inkwell, and that Jafar, which was kept in the opening hand in the altering phase, comes down on turn 2 for Vincent.
Indeed, yeah. Luke is going to be looking for a pretty good 4-drop here. Plenty of options within the deck. We know the Genie's there. We know the Iago is there. How do you feel about this 4-cost inkable 4/6 Iago in this matchup against Amethyst Steel in particular, Joe?
Yeah, I don't expect to see it.
Oh, never mind. It's on the board.
You know, scratch that. I never said a thing.
You always expected to see it. That's what you meant to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. Of course, open deck lists. So Lucas is going to be fully well aware of exactly how many action cards Vincent has in their deck, which can vanish this Iago. Will we see that happen? Well, there is that strength of a Raging Fire. That will do it. But really, you'd rather be using that strength on something else. But it's going to be on the Iago vanishing it. That's still a really nice turn. But ideally, Vincent would use all 4 of their strengths on cards like Genies and cards like Elsa, perhaps. And you'd really rather use something else on the Iago. So I think Lucas, overall, going to be quite happy with that.
Indeed. Yeah,
I do like as well, though, that Vincent doesn't develop a 3-drop because it just plays so hard into Elsa, Exert, and then they can't sing the strength.
Exactly what I was about to say. And we do see that Elsa come down. Imagine that Vincent was able to establish a 3-cost Genie here. Then Elsa would have simply come down onto the board, exerted the Genie, and then the Iago takes it out incredibly cleanly.
Yeah, and of course, Iago, unlike Genie, did not draw a card there for Lucas. In comes a Genie for Vincent, the evasive Genie back on over to Lucas, who's at 5 ink. This is their 5th turn. That one little jump ahead thanks to Tipo, so they can go to 6 ink here. Vincent still at 4 ink.
I really like this play from Lucas, being able to play the Dumbo, take advantage of its effect, gain a lower draw card by spending 1 ink. But I also like on Vincent's side of the board here, the fact that this 3-4 stat line for this Genie is so incredibly strong against a potential Bell that could have come down on Lucas's side here.
Yeah, and this is where we like to see Dumbo, not necessarily on turn 4. Of course, Iago was favoured for Lucas, but Dumbo comes down on 5 ink, and that Elsa then immediately being exerted, paying 1 ink, drawing a card. But look at that. Still only 5 ink for Lucas. Each player with 5 ink in the inkwell. Lucas did not ink last turn, and Vincent suddenly has swung the game in their favour.
What an absolutely crucial Elsa, the 5th Spirit, coming down for Vincent, being able to combo with this Genie and take out Lucas's entire board. Vincent staying in control of the game right now, and as you said, Joe, Lucas not being able to ink means that we're not quite there to see the Hades Infernal Schema. However, I really like this play of the Bell Accomplished Mystic being able to move some damage counters over from this Genie to take out the Elsa. Some players often forget, Joe, that you can manipulate the damage counters of only your opposing players' cards, not only your own cards, to move them over.
Yep. We see the Genie for Vincent. Lucas is in a unfamiliar scenario. Playing Sapphire, the big advantage you get is that 1 extra ink. But skipping the ink this turn means that Vincent has the steel ink color, has cards like Strength, and has the same amount of ink as the Sapphire player. Is this the opportunity for Lucas to break serve in this best of 5 finals?
I wonder what's going to come out to play here. I have to say, Joe, I think a card I would love to see. We do see the Genie wish fulfilled, but with the potential of going up to 6 ink, I would have loved to see that TikTok evasive card against this particular board against Vincent. That 4-7 stat line would be particularly nice to see here. We see a 1 jump ahead here, making sure that Lucas is going to be at that 7 ink threshold, so now can reliably play the Hades Infernal Schemer to start dealing with Vincent's board, of course, if it is in his hand.
Lucas going to quest with Bell, taking the lead, 3 law to 1. This 1 jump ahead, we talked about the big advantages of this card, extra consistency, but of course it comes with its downsides. It's uninkable, and this is likely why we saw Lucas skipping that turn for ink, because they didn't think it would be too detrimental if they can just sneak in the 1 jump ahead the following turn. So Lucas now has that ink advantage once more. It's another Genie. It is the Genie show for Vincent right now.
Yes, Genie Satisfied Dragon comes down. Doc is also played to the board.
Wow.
It was no trigger on the Doc, but that means there's 4 total characters on the board, meaning that this other Genie Satisfied Dragon can sing Strength of the Raging Fire and take out the Bell Accomplished Mystic.
Genie on the job, questing for 2. We talked about Vincent's deck building decision. Only 3 docs, or prof as it's called, in French. Well, it seems as though they might have drawn 2 docks regardless with that prof no trigger coming down. Perhaps it was the only character, though, which cost 2 ink or less, and they just needed to develop that extra character on the board for strength to deal with Bell.
It would make sense that the other card in hand is a dock, because if this dock was played and you did decide to trigger it, it meant that you couldn't sing Strength of a Raging Fire. We will see this Genie.
It's surely Bell.
It's Bell, of course. It makes total sense being able to take out the Genie Satisfied Dragon. Bell, we've talked about it a lot at this event. Such a solid card within this Sapphire Amethyst tech. The damage counter manipulation does so well in a lot of these evasive battles.
Yeah, and one thing that's going to be a little bit tricky for Vincent is that in their deck list, if I'm not mistaken, there was 2 copies of the Bell Accomplished Mystic. So Bell advantage is definitely in favor of Lucas in terms of the deck build. I'm going to see Elsa exerting the Bell. Genie and Elsa clean up the Genie. And now it's back on over to Lucas. Vincent still with board control. 3 lore apiece.
Yeah, Vincent is doing a fantastic job at keeping control of this board, but really needs to start getting some lore down onto the board. This Elsa being able to answer Vincent's Genie is absolutely huge here. But as I was saying earlier on, the longer this game goes, Lucas's card quality is just so much better than Vincent's as we get into the late game here.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And we did see Lucas singing that second star to the right in the previous game. But imagine at a moment like this, if Lucas has in hand, dig a little deeper, or second star to the right, and not enough ink to play it, it could provide an even further window of opportunity for Vincent to have an opportunity to take this one down. Lucas's deck is so consistent, but there's definitely a few cards in their hand which could cause them some problems if Vincent can continue to control the board and deny the sing together.
Genie comes down, a card will be drawn for Lucas here, really looking for an answer for this Dumbo. Dumbo's a great card for Vincent in this situation, being able to exert
Look at
the
Vincent
Elsa.
wink at the camera.
He winked at the camera.
He winked at the camera.
Okay, he's feeling good. He's feeling good.
He's smiling. He's vibing. He's here playing Disney Lorcana TCG on the biggest stage in Bologna, and he's feeling confident right now.
Indeed, yeah, that Dumbo's exactly what Vincent needed here, able to keep him in the game, not also draw some cards, but continue to gain some lore. You did mention a card like Second Star to the right. Let's pay attention to Lucas's board right here. The total singer amount would add up to 10, so I think Vincent would really love some type of way to interact and disrupt Lucas's board here if that is the exact card in his hand.
It's 4 lore to 3. Vincent's in the lead. Elsa and Dumbo on the board. We're going to see the 9th Wonder of the Universe using the Breaking Records ability to exert and draw a card and gain 1 lore. Of course, could also use that Making History ability to do something similar with the Elsa.
Yeah, it's even something like being able to play a Bell of their own here for Vincent. Could move some damage counters over, take out this Rafiki, but we see a Calhoun and a Mr. Smee being developed right here.
Yeah, Mr. Smee, a 3-2 that quests for 1 and is evasive during Vincent's turn. So nice Dumbo synergy. Dumbo was exerted, but Elsa left ready and waiting, which is a really interesting decision from Vincent. Mouche, though, being that evasive, of course, Mr. Smee, Mouche in French, the steadfast mate. Captain Hook would like a word with ya.
I love the flavor text of this card. We're going to see a Hypnotic Strength come down for Lucas onto the Genie Wish Fulfilled. It means it's going to be quite easy to take out Vincent's Dumbo, the 9th Wonder of the Universe here. Is this going to be another Bell Accomplished Mystic? Ooh. It's not. It is the Madam Mim Elephant. Talk to me about this card, Joe, and the value that I can give to Lucas here.
I mean, I used to love the Madam Mim Snake for exactly this reason. Spend 2 ink to return a character card to your hand. As it turns out, spending 4 ink to do something similar is actually really good in the late game of a deck like this. And the Madam Mim Elephant, also one of the best cards that Lucas has in their deck on that 3rd turn to deal with those aggro decks like Tiana. But in the Amethyst battles, which are long and drawn out, being able to return Elsa, return a Genie, and just keep getting more value out of your cards is so valuable. Often these Amethyst Sapphire decks, particularly in mirror matchups, have so much ink, and therefore spending 4 ink to return a powerful card to your hand is a really good deal.
Indeed, yeah. And the stat line of this card is absolutely fantastic. It's a 3/7, so Vincent is going to have a little bit of trouble trying to get through this fantastic body, but we do see the Giant Cobra coming down. Curious to see if Vincent is going to trigger its ability to gain 2 lore. Decides not to, really values the cards in his hand currently, and it's just a resource game at this stage, Joe.
The sign of a good player is passing without exerting any characters. Vincent clearly planning ahead, and I think this kind of skill of knowing when to exert your characters, when to leave them ready, is more important than ever in the current fabled metagame that we have without those board clears. Lucas wondering exactly what to do.
Yeah, just taking his time, trying to figure out what situation he's in right now, evaluating the board state, thinking about what's going to occur within the next few turns.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get cleared up exactly what is happening with you very, very soon. I'm wondering if perhaps it was something like the Genie just drawing an extra card by accident and then Lucas calling the judge themselves on that. So I'm sure we'll get that cleared up for you all very, very soon. Not what we want to be seeing in the grand final, but it absolutely does happen to the best of us, let me tell you.
It's been a very, very long day indeed, Joe. So yeah, just going to get that cleared up and we will let you know what happened as soon as possible. But right now, who do you think is in the most favorable position? Because the board, the amount of characters is quite even right now, but I would say that Lucas has a lot of the characters that just have a little bit more lore, a little bit more strength, and a little bit more willpower.
Yeah, I think it's anybody's game right now, which honestly, if you're Amethyst Steel going second, I think you would take every single time. And it has been not just a long day, but a long weekend. The local time here in Bologna, we are 5 minutes away from 10 p.m. The venue this morning opened at 8 a.m. That is 14 hours of Disney Lorcana TCG. And let me tell you, it was something quite similar yesterday.
Yes, indeed it was. But it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm enjoying this so much. It's so great to be able to cast the grand finals of this fantastic event, and to be able to do it alongside you, Joe, is just an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. We've been playing Disney Lorcana together for a very long time.
Since the start.
Yeah, we first played at Gamescom, I think, in 2023.
Indeed.
And we introduced some of our friends to it, and we've been playing ever since. I remember our first ever game, we were sat at dinner playing with Kim as well, and every time a song card was played, we made a house rule that you have to sing it.
You have to sing the song.
That didn't last long, and nor did the judge call, just getting that all cleared up, and we're going to be back in with the action. That Genie was played down for 4 ink. Now we'll get it cleared up soon. Don't panic, guys. Don't panic. We've got you. Let us know in the chat what deck you think is going to win. I want to ask you before we get back into action.
Ask me.
Favorite moment of the weekend so far that doesn't include pasta? Because if I'm answering it, was the pasta.
My favorite moment was actually in the booth with you, my friend. And I think you'll remember this. It was the Ruby Amber game where we saw the double shift Mulan. That was a fantastic event. Here we are joining the game again. Vincent's turn, establishing a 1-cost captain hook here. As you said, it does seem to still be quite even. It looks like that was just simply a 1-cost hook for Vincent.
Right, we saw Lucas play Genie, and then I believe another Genie came through from Lucas. On the other side, though, Vincent paying 1 ink for hook and passing. Finders keepers for Lucas. The resource war is swinging in favor of Lucas.
Indeed. It's all about the cards. It's all about card draw. Both players are playing Amethyst, and that's a big mechanic within both of these inks. And now this board is looking like it's soon to be out of control, with the Dumbo, the 9th wonder of the universe, being established, and 3 additional evasive cards available for Lucas here.
Yeah, and I think we can see why Vincent is having a little bit of a tricky time in this matchup, or certainly all of the Amethyst Steel players in this matchup when going second, is if you get to this game state and you just can't close out the game quickly, Lucas and the Amethyst Sapphire player just has so many resources and so much top end, and without a board clear in the game, these big wide board states continue to grow, but Vincent now strikes with the strength of a Raging Fire, answering the Dumbo. That was hard cast, not exerting any characters, and again, just passes, not winking at the camera right now.
No, not winking at the camera right now, indeed. Would love to probably see some of his own Genie wish fulfills to continue to draw cards, get into this game, and it's exactly what we said. It's like there's so much ink available for Lucas right here, able to play the Bell Accomplished Mystic, could move the damage counters, take out the Mr. Smee, and another Dumbo, Ninth Wonder of the Universe, established here for Lucas. This is absolutely crazy. It's like Dumbo after Dumbo after Dumbo, and this card is one of the most powerful cards we've seen from Fable Joe, and it makes exact sense why that's the case right here.
Lucas questing with both Genies and also Elsa as well. I believe it was a quest. Might have been that Dumbo trigger. I didn't quite catch that as Genie now comes through. Going to draw a card for Vincent, but Lucas starting to gain lore either way with those evasive characters, but leaving the non-evasive characters ready because of that Calhoun. Vincent with Elsa as a evasive is going to challenge Genie. Do they have a bell? It's a fire the cannons. Of course, not enough ink to play the bell. 5 lore for Vincent, but Lucas is in the lead at 8.
Indeed, yeah. And both players do have quite a wide board indeed. We previously saw Lucas play the Bell Accomplished Mystic, take out that Mr. Smee that's evasive on Vincent's turn. I was considering that maybe it could have been put on the Calhoun because moving the damage counters gets around the resist very nicely. However, Lucas really recognizing every character that Vincent has that could potentially be evasive is a real threat, especially to this Dumbo right here.
Yeah, and we talked about that window of opportunity for Vincent, and it just seems to be slamming shut right now as Lucas is taking over this game. An extremely wide board. Vincent, for the last 2 or 3 turns, just playing a Captain Hook and passing, playing a Strength of Raging Fire and passing. Meanwhile, Lucas was spending 5 ink to draw 3 cards and continuing to develop a wider board with the help of Genies and Madam M Elephants.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, it's looking like the gas is running out for Vincent here. And I do want to note, though, Joe, this is an untimed grand final. So this is the one time where the players don't have to worry about the clock. That is something we've talked about a lot this weekend, where usually they have to be very, very aware of that. So, you know, they can take all the time they need here to really make all of the correct decisions. Ursula being able to force Vincent's own Genie, essentially, to sing Into the Unknown on itself.
Yeah, that is an interesting way of looking at it. That Into the Unknown, putting Genie into the Inkwell, and Lucas is questing, and 20 lore is not far away.
So many characters developed here for Lucas. I really think they're in such a comfortable position. I don't know anything that Amethyst Steel has in the deck to be able to tackle such a wide board. As you mentioned, Joe, there is no real big board clear within this ink combination. So Vincent really, really, really holding out hope, and is simply going to scoop the game. That's game 1 going to Lucas. A huge congratulations. But now Vincent is going to recharge, re-energize, focus on the play. He has the first player advantage right now. And I'm super excited to see how different this opener is going to be from both players.
Yeah, we can take a breath, can't we? What a frantic start to this final, and there's plenty more to go, as it is a best of 5. The first opportunity to break serve doesn't happen, but there's going to be 2 more opportunities to do so. Now, when you're going first as the Amethyst Steel player, this is where you just want to have that consistent curve, get the job done, sing Strength of a Raging Fire, maybe onto your opponent's Genie on the job, and just slow it down. Plenty of time.
Yes. Take it easy, think about the plays. I have to say, I think Lucas had such a strong opener that first game, being able to go into Tipo, and that Iago was actually extremely, extremely important. We did mention that Vincent had the opportunity to play out that 3-cost Genie Satisfied Dragon with the 3/4 stat line, but as we then mentioned as well, the Elsa's like the perfect follow-up with this Iago. So I do really respect Vincent recognizing these openers and these lines as probably the most crucial elements. Like getting off to a good start is so important in Disney Lorcana TCG. So I've just been very, very impressed from the level of skill from both of these players. Even in the grand final, it's been such a long day.
My favourite moment in that game might surprise a lot of people. I really like that moment where we see the genie come through, the extra card was drawn by accident, and just the acknowledgement, putting the hand up and saying, look, I've made a mistake, judge, help us out, I didn't mean to do anything wrong. And that is the thing to do. If you're playing at your local game store and you do something wrong by mistake, put your hand up, call the judge. That is the way to handle things.
Definitely, yeah. And you learn from these mistakes as well. These things happen at times, and when you do it, you learn to say, okay, I'll do my best to not do that again, and you recognize these patterns. It's even simple. It's like when you misplay in Disney Lorcana, you'll do it, and you'll instantly realize, okay, oh, I'm not making that mistake again. Very perfect example is a couple of days ago, I was doing some testing against this all-powerful Emerald Chromicon. Of course, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll challenge and banish this character, and the opponent... As soon as they pointed to the Chromicon, I was like, I've made a drastic mistake. So, I do agree, if a player recognizes, oh, something's gone wrong, and, maybe it does indeed happen, Joe.
Here we go. Game number 2 of a potential 5. First player to 3 games will be the champion of Bologna and book their place at the World Championships for Disney Lorcana Trading Card Game Season 2. Vincent is going to be going first and can alter their hand first. Wondering if they'll keep that dock, keep the genies. It seems as though they won't. In fact, I think exactly those 3 cards, the 2 genie on the jobs and the 1 dock bold knight, with the 3 cards altered. On Lucas's side, trying to work out how many new ones that was. Was that a fresh 7?
It could be a fresh 7, and it often happens in these Sapphire Amethyst decks, as we keep mentioning. Really looking for that turn 2 ramp. A card I'm not too sure, but maybe I'm a little confident that I did see in Vincent's hand here is the Madam Mim Tiny Adversary. That may be incorrect, but that's a very, very interesting card that we've seen included in a lot of these Amethyst Steel builds to change a lot of break points here.
Okay, actually, I changed my mind. The judge call was my second favourite moment. My favourite moment was Vincent winking at the camera. That is the kind of showmanship we love to see in a trading card game. You don't always see it.
Yeah, that was indeed the Madam Mim Tiny Adversary. Super great card here. And the reason why I love it, especially in this matchup, Joe, is we've seen so many cards like the 2-cost Jafar with that 3/2 stat line that gets evasive on the turn. Same thing with the Mr. Smee. And suddenly something that is challenging for 3 can now challenge for 4. And against a lot of these cards like Genie Wish Fulfilled, I think changing these breakpoints is extremely important. It's gone into the ink. Well,
gone into the ink.
Never mind.
But that's also the beauty of a card like this. It's inkable. And you can wait for the right moment to do it.
Indeed. Tipo inked. Okay, it's happening. It's happening again, Joe.
Yeah, Tipo into the ink.
What does that mean?
I think there might be another Tipo or so. There you go. There's a Man of Mim.
Yeah, I knew I was talking about this card. Let's go. I really love to see this card. It's a card that Tiago, a player that we saw in the previous tournament, really liked and was utilizing within their version of Amethyst Steel. Into the Unknown has been inked. Sail the Azurite Sea. Dropped down onto the board. That means that Lucas is going to be able to ink an additional card this turn. Maybe even can establish an additional 1-drop. Chooses not to. Maybe doesn't have one in the hand.
Yeah, Lucas valued the Sail over the Tipo here. As we saw the Tipo inked on 1. And Sail, usually the more powerful card. Certainly in the long run, you'd rather have that extra card rather than the Tipo down on the board. Of course, Tipo, a big advantage is being able to get rid of an awkward uninkable. But if you've got an abundance of inkable cards, the Sail usually the preferred option.
Yes, indeed. We will see the Iago, that giant spectral parrot.
Lucas loves playing the Iago on turn 3.
I think the Iago on turn 3, I'm not too sure about it in this particular matchup, but I can imagine in a lot of these Sapphire Amethyst Blurple matchups throughout the day, it's been very good, but Vincent able to very cleanly take it out with the strength of a Raging Fire being sung by the Genie Satisfied Dragon.
This is a huge example on the difference of being on the play or being on the draw. Vincent just simply doesn't have access to this line when he's going second because Elsa will come through exerting the Genie or maybe the Ursula voice stealer, exerting the genie before the genie's able to sing strength. We saw Vincent just hard cast strength at 3 ink when they went second, but when they go first, they have enough time to develop the 3-cost character and then sing the strength.
Very interesting here from Lucas. We do see that Genie Wish Fulfilled established onto the board. But this very much looks like there's no 5-cost Elsa available for Lucas, because if that was the case, I really think we might have seen the Genie exerted and the Basil questing. But on Vincent's side, he does indeed have his own Elsa, the 5th Spirit.
Wow, the Madam Mim, I was laughing at you, wasn't I? Well, it didn't last long. This Madam Mim just turned the Genie into a 4-strength character.
You, mate. I'm telling you.
And it was Genie on Genie. The wish fulfilled. Well, I don't think the wish was fulfilled on this occasion.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic here. And I'm telling you, it's break points like that, but particularly comboing it with this Genie-satisfied dragon means that the dragon can actually survive. The challenge remains on the board.
Well, Genie's back on the job. Basil ready and waiting. Look at Lucas's facial expression. Looks to the heavens slightly there. Perhaps just thinking and nodding like, yep, okay, I've got some thinking to do. I've got some work ahead of me in this one.
Yeah, it does look like, I mean, we talked about drawing multiple genies a little bit earlier, and that could have been what happened here for Lucas. We do see the 1 jump ahead come out, so wants to start ramping up here, getting as much ink into the inkwell as possible. 7 total ink available. I will say a card that might be able to help out Lucas here was previously ink. Another Strength of a Raging Fire.
Strength of a Raging Fire for Vincent. Cleans up Genie, who is no longer on the job yet again. This is the game plan for Vincent. The board is wide, the characters are plenty, and Basil has nothing to support. Lucas with a rush character, though, could give Basil something to support. Basil might just have to trade into the Captain Hook here, I fear.
We could see a potential Monstro. One has already been inked by Lucas already. That would be able to clear at least 3 of the characters on the board. But Monstro, unfortunately, does not have evasive, so that Genie Wish Fulfilled and Elsa, the 5th Spirit, will remain on the board for Vincent.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be getting back into the game as soon as we possibly can. We're going to keep you posted and keep you updated as best we can. I'm going to say my favourite moment of the tournament
the tournament.
weekend.
I think going to say of the game again. Okay, tell me, mate.
Well, we'll jump back in. We'll save that for later because we're back in with the action. It's 11 law to 0 in favour of Vincent, and it's Lucas's turn. We did see the Elsa come through here for Lucas, and Lucas has not yet challenged with Elsa.
Yes, all of the characters, just to clarify, were already exerted, so Elsa didn't have to make a choice here.
Technically it did. You still have to exert something, even if it's already exerted.
True,
but it doesn't have any impact. Into the Unknown comes through.
Into the Unknown, hard cast. This Basil Conquest, it will give this Elsa 2 additional strength, be able to take out the Genie, and suddenly this is probably the exact swing that Lucas needed to really stay in the game here.
Yeah, and you can see the power of Basil, particularly when paired with Elsa. Elsa is already outstanding, but a 4-strength evasive Elsa with Rush that exerts a character, that's pretty good for 5 ink.
Indeed, yeah. A card I'd love to see come down here from Vincent is a potential Bell Accomplished Mystic. Could use its effect to move the 2 damage counters on the Genie Satisfied Dragon over to the Basil. That means that if the Genie challenges into the Elsa, it would survive the challenge. But I believe you mentioned earlier, Joe, there's not a full 4 copies of that card within the deck.
Pete, no actions. The whistle has been blown. We haven't seen that as much in the Fabled metagame, have we? As the Genie takes out Elsa, the Madam Mim takes out Basil and is still there telling the tale. Of course, there's going to be 2 damage, not the 1, but 3 willpower on Madam Mim as now Vincent quests, and it is 11 law to 1, a 10 law lead for Vincent.
I believe it's 1 card in the hand for Vincent, 1 for Lucas, but 1 has been drawn for turn. Lucas really needs a powerful card off the top here. Maybe something like a Hades, maybe some more Genies for some extended draw. It's
That's
another
a powerful card.
Elsa. It's very, very good here.
Elsa going to take out the Madam Mim, taking no damage back. That Madam Mim has Challenger 1, but Challenger 1 is only strength in your own turn. So Elsa with 5 willpower still remaining. Oh my goodness, it's the Cobra time. the giant Cobra discarding the Hypnotic Strength, and Vincent is questing and trying to finish this game very, very quickly.
All the way up to 16 lore in total for Vincent, so Lucas really wants to be clearing off this board right now. If they don't even take out a single character, a white rose off the top will be able to do the job here for Vincent, but of course Elsa will be most likely challenging this Captain Hook Forceful Duelist.
I've got a question for the chat. Would you have played the Hypnotic Strength and then discarded whatever you draw, or do you just discard the Hypnotic Strength? I think I would have played it.
That's a great question,
I don't think it really
Joe.
matters. I would love to ask Frank Carsten that question. I bet he would have a good answer.
Yeah. We do see the Bell Accomplished Mystic coming down, being able to cleanly take out that Pete, the game's referee.
Yep. Going to be questing for 2 here, Vincent, if they so desire. That would put them 1 Cobra away from victory, but there's no cards in hand right now. The Captain Hook does come down. There is a ever so slight argument that Vincent could have just kept this Captain Hook in hand here in case they draw into exactly a giant Cobra off the top, but it's really quite unnecessary because if you draw the Cobra off the top, you just pass the turn, you draw another card for turn, and then you win. But we do see Bell taking out the Cobra, but it is a trade. Elsa taking down the Captain Hook. Captain Hook stands tall. Elsa, the only character for Lucas, who is at 1 lore as it stands.
The Rafiki has been established. There's only 1 other card in hand. Lucas simply passes the turn over. I think Vincent is at 18. I just want to clarify. So the Captain Hook can quest going up to a total of 19. If that was a white rose off the top, that would have been the game right here. But Lucas needs an answer to this genie satisfied dragon. What is it?
Well, they didn't scoop just
Looks
yet,
like it
so
might
they
be
might have
7
something.
ink. It could be the schemer coming out to play.
Hades, Elsa's, Ursula's, all sorts of answers.
It is indeed the Hades Infernal Schemer denying Vincent the victory right here. Again, the white rose would be the perfect card off the top to end the game.
Here we go. Vincent needs a white rose. A Cobra would also do it, as they could just pass the turn, and they do have enough time. Lucas's board is questing for 4. Here comes Bell, moving the damage onto Rafiki, and again asks a question to Lucas. Can you remove my character? And if you can't, I'm going to win. Lucas, I'm looking at the face. Look at that, the shake of the head. They don't think they've got it right now, but maybe they have a way of drawing more cards and finding an answer.
Indeed, yeah. Maybe deciding which one's going to come down. It is the Ursula able to exert this Bell Accomplished Mystic, but has to use 2 characters to challenge it and take it out. However, Lucas is still in this game, is able to deal with Vincent's board once more.
Vincent just wants to be playing a character here, and every single turn asks the question. But imagine right now, a strength. Could it be a strength? Could it be a fire the cannons? Or could it be that giant Cobra? Lucas with a smile. Here comes the Finders Keepers. They weren't too happy, I think, to see that card last turn, but suddenly an opportunity is there to find it, and suddenly Lucas has so many more cards in hand and potential answers to the board of Vincent. Vincent looking through his discard. I'm wondering, would you do that if you've got a Cobra in hand? I'm not so sure that you would.
Didn't look so confident, but we could still see another card off the top. If the card off the top, then
no. The elephant puts the Hades back into the hand, and that could be curtains for Vincent. Can they find the Cobra?
It might have been a dock here. It might have been a dock.
Okay.
It looks like a dock.
Can they find the Cobra? 2 opportunities.
Cobra or white
Look at
rose.
Lucas. Lucas is shifting back and forwards in their chair, staring at Vincent. There's no Cobra, but that's 3 characters on the board.
Indeed, a lot of pressure coming down from Vincent here. So close to closing out this game 2 here within the grand final. Sail the Azurite Sea played for Lucas. Going to be drawing an additional card. We know that Hades is available in the hand, but I don't know if there's enough tools available to Lucas here to take out the entire board. And that's game 2 going to Vincent. We're 1-1 apiece. I am beyond hyped to be here. What a fantastic game. I think Vincent played incredibly well, and I have to say, what ends up happening here against Amethyst Steel, and I've seen it throughout the past games, you don't realize within those early turns how much lore they're able to quickly get throughout turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. But you mentioned earlier, Joe, being on the play was a really big advantage there for Vincent.
It made such a big difference, and even being on the play, it was close, wasn't it? That dot came through at the right time. We talked about the Cobra, because with Hades in your opponent's hand, one character's not enough, but being able to develop 2 characters at once, thanks to the dock, in fact, it was 3, made all of the difference, and that was quite an exciting finish. But we're not done yet. We're going into game 3, but it is not the final game. We're going to be having at least 4 games in this final, with it 1 game apiece, all tied up.
Yeah, so both games we have seen Lucas hit that all-essential turn 2 ramp, and even opting to play that 1 jump ahead for like the little bit more percentage of consistency to try and hit that. However, if one of these games happen and they don't hit that turn 2 ramp, that could be absolutely detrimental to them.
My favourite play in that game was that giant Cobra towards the end, discarding the hypnotic strength.
Yes.
Again, I feel like I would really be fascinated in having some of the top players have a discussion of that. Do you just play the hypnotic strength and then discard the card that you draw?
I don't see a reason why not. The only reason why it would be bad is, like, let's say the card off the top of something like a dock. You don't really want to be discarding a dock, right? At least if you discard the hypnotic strength, you know, okay, if the top card of my deck is something like that, I can just simply play it and draw some more cards.
Yeah, it gets really interesting and quite deep, and like I've had lots of really interesting discussions. It almost like starts like leaning into quantum mechanics at that time, like something you don't know, you can't really evaluate until you actually see it. It's a really complex and interesting discussion, but just regardless of what they did, just playing the Cobra, discarding that card, realizing that 2 extra lore at that moment in time left them in a position where they just could play a character and their opponent is forced to remove it from the board was absolutely brilliant, brave, and it worked out.
Indeed, yeah. And both games we've seen the
and bold, because Doc the Bold Knight.
Doc the Bold Knight, indeed.
Brilliant, brave, bold.
Both games we've seen that Iago giant spectral parrot come out on turn 3 for Lucas. Talk to me a little bit about that card, because I genuinely think the stat line alone is so strong. And we also saw an example of where I feel like Lucas was happy that it was just dealt with by a Strength of a Raging Fire, because when that strength was hard cast by Vincent, they're like, okay, well, suddenly Vincent isn't establishing a character of their own.
Yeah, and again, Iago, arguably better in open deck lists.
Yes.
You know exactly how many responses your opponent has, and there's not a lot. We did see Hypnotic Strength is in the deck for Vincent, because we just saw them discard it, of course.
I just, especially being on the play, I just love the stat line into most of Vincent's 3-cost cards, right? Into that Genie, Satisfied Dragon, into the Giant Cobra even. It just challenges so nicely. And combining with the Elsa 5th Spirit, being able to exert it, it's just a stellar start for the Blurple player.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, if I'm Vincent, I'm expecting the Iago to come through on that 3rd turn, and I might be in my altering phase, even looking for that Hypnotic Strength. The thing is, right, Lucas plays a Iago on their 3rd turn. It goes over to Vincent, who's at 3 ink once they ink for turn. Do you really want to spend a whole turn playing Hypnotic Strength to vanish an Iago? I mean, obviously it's good to vanish an Iago, but Lucas is in control of when that happens, in a sense.
Yes.
And it's really not as good as you might think.
No, it's not that strong.
It's definitely very good, but it's not like game-winning.
At least you have the tool to be able to deal with it, right? But exactly what you said, Lucas controls when Iago is going to be banished, essentially. But I think if it's a card like Fire the Cannons, right, the difference between 1 and 2 is absolutely huge.
And the thing is, those Strength of a Raging Fires, you really want to be using on other things. You only have 4 copies of Strength.
Yes.
If you can use something else to deal with Iago, that Strength of a Raging Fire can be kept in your back pocket, saved for a rainy day, and used when it matters most.
I believe that was the game where we saw like double Strength of a Raging Fire extremely early for Vincent, and just proving, as we all know already, how powerful that card can be. You know, we're in this metagame where every way to disrupt the opponent, deal damage to their characters is crucial. So Strength of a Raging Fire alongside Doc have often been talked about as some of the best steal cards within this metagame.
Yeah, great to see both players having a little chat before the start of the game. Of course, always wise to cut your opponent's deck, as we see Iago into the ink for Lucas and Basil on the board. No Tipo in the inkwell on turn 1 for the first time for Lucas. Is it possible that they've missed the turn 2 ramp, or are they just saving it and waiting?
Potentially, yeah. I wonder what one-cost card we're going to see from Vincent here. It is, of course, that happy.
No, it's not happy.
Are you happy to see
It's not
him,
happy.
Joe?
I'm not happy to see that. I am joyeux to see that.
Joy to see Happy come down onto the board. I think it's actually very important, though. I do want to talk about this. Trying to get a one-cost character that can at least contest that Basil practiced detective is super, super
Here we go.
crucial.
Oh, one jump ahead. That's my favorite play of the final so far. The deck building coming through for Lucas. One jump ahead, but actually the real one jump ahead this time, not the Tipo or the Sail.
Indeed, yes. I do, just want to briefly bring you back to the Happy. The reason I want to talk about it is, let's say, for example, we did see a one-cost Diablo in Vincent's opening hand. If something like that was established, then suddenly this Basil could potentially start questing for free. We do see that Diablo come down here.
I love to see one jump ahead so much. That is just deck building shining through at its finest. Those micro decisions. There's a 60-card deck, but every single card matters. Imagine if this one jump ahead wasn't in the game and Lucas just passes turn 2 without ramp. Vincent would be licking their lips right now.
It's a completely different game if that happens, indeed. So will we see the giant spectral parrot inked.
Second time, and look at that, the Dumbo comes through. Lucas is like, well, you know, I'm a bit predictable at this point with my ER goes, and now I'm going to go for the Dumbo on this turn instead, just in case Vincent's started to get a bit of an idea about my playstyle and what I like to do with my ER goes.
Yeah, I kind of like establishing the Dumbo here because Vincent doesn't really have a clear answer to it.
Look, the hypnotic strength was there. The mind games. Lucas is playing this masterfully.
Indeed, yes. Establishing the Dumbo. We've talked about this before, right? Playing Dumbo on turn 3 with 4 ink, not always the best thing you want to do. Usually you want to already have an existing evasive character on the board. But because this Basil has remained since turn 1, if Lucas has that Elsa 5th Spirit, can combine it with this Basil support ability to take out this Genie, Satisfied Dragon, which is exactly what's going to happen. And for that exact reason, I love the fact that we saw the Dumbo come out instead of the Iago. Lucas is almost 2 turns ahead, really planning out these openers. And now, because the evasive is already on the board, I think Lucas is going to have a fantastic time going to be able to utilize this Dumbo ability on the next turn.
Basil's gone from a completely non-played card in a competitive format to arguably
I love it, man.
The best one-cost character in the metagame right now.
Yes.
The synergy there with Elsa is absolutely outstanding.
Yes, and it's very, very important to know here, like, we're going to see the impact of that one jump ahead right here. Vincent only able to ink up to a total of 4, can't get to 5 to answer the opposing Elsa with their own Elsa. So, I don't know, what are you hoping to see here for Vincent, Joe?
Well, Vincent's got a grimace on his face, so he's inking the strength. It's going to be the Genie, but I don't think they were too happy about inking that Genie, inking the strength.
Yes.
And you know what? Lucas is fully aware of that, because I just want everyone to look at Lucas and where they're looking during Vincent's decision-making process. They're not looking at their hand. They're not looking at the table. They are looking straight at Vincent in the face and trying to get every little bit of information they can. Vincent's little grimace when inking that Strength of a Raging Fire tells Lucas a story and can start predicting exactly what kind of cards are in Vincent's hand.
I have to say, though, that Happy from Vincent was actually absolutely crucial. The fact that it has evasive on Vincent's turn meant that he could take out that Elsa. If that Elsa remained on the board, that was potentially an extra card and an extra lore for Lucas. So Vincent, with the deck building decision, I think a card like Happy in certain situations like this is the exact card you need to clean off some of those evasive characters.
I didn't expect that. Lucas passing.
After only spending 1 ink for the Dumbo ability. Could this be quite an uninkable hand here, Joe, for Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, didn't even see a card being inked. And we've already seen the 1 copy of One Jump Ahead being played. Lucas again looking over at Vince in a second copy of Strength of a Raging Fire into the ink. Genie's going to challenge Dumbo. Is it
It's a
time for Bell?
It's a Bell accomplished Mystic being able to easily take out that Dumbo, 9th wonder of the universe. And it really looks like that Lucas will be hoping for an inkable off the top here.
2 law all. Lucas nodding his head.
Okay, a little bit happier about the card, perhaps.
Lots of cards in hand, actually, for both players. I think Vincent at 3, Lucas at around 5. It's into the unknown for 3 ink, onto the Genie. So Vincent getting an extra ink to play with, of course, is the downside. Monstro into the ink, and there's 3 more remaining as Lucas scratches his chin and passes his turn.
Yeah, heading back over to Vincent. Still has that Bell accomplished Mystic on board. Wants to stay ahead within the lore race here. And I think also Vincent would love to have a little bit of fuel left in the hand to draw some additional cards. So I'm curious to see what cards are established to fire the cannons. Taking out the Basil is a lot bigger. This is very important. You'd be surprised if an Elsa 5th Spear comes out. That Basil is so important to be able to take out the Genie, be able to take out the Bell. Fire the cannons is, in my opinion, it's the reason why the card is in the deck, to take out these very important 1-cost cards.
Cowart, look at the board state. There is 4 characters for Vincent and 0 for Lucas. Hypnotic Strength is not the opening. Is this the moment that Vincent can turn the tide in this final? Rafiki into the ink. Finders keepers. No characters on board for Lucas this turn. Vincent can quest for 5 and will be halfway to 20.
Essentially taking an entire turn off to draw a total of 4 cards for Lucas here. And yeah, Vincent is definitely going to start getting ahead in the lore race here. If I'm Vincent, I'm playing as many characters to the board as possible.
All 3 characters in hand are played. Almost every ink spent. Lucas is facing a huge board now, which quests with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters, 8 lore.
Could this potentially be a Monstro to answer Vincent's board?
No.
Could ink a card? Has plenty of cards available after playing that Hypnotic Strength and the Finders Keepers.
We did see a Monstro inked not too long ago.
It could be the perfect answer that Lucas needs here.
Is it the Whale? Did Lucas ink it a little bit too soon? It's Elsa. Again, you made that prediction, Kawa, that maybe there's a lot of uninkables in the hand of Lucas with some of the ink decisions. We saw that Monstro inked, but Elsa is definitely keeping them in this game. Bell and Genie have been frozen. Down comes Dumbo.
And Dumbo will be used. The Genie is going to exert itself. Vincent's is going to pay 1 ink, draw a card, and gain a lore. Vincent has a plethora of glimmers on the board and is just a single turn away from taking this game. I don't know any other card that can save Lucas here besides a Monstro.
Vincent and Dumbo are making history right now. Lucas has to answer a lot of characters as there is story on board for Vincent.
This could be the moment, this could be the exact moment where Vincent is able to take the win on the draw, Joe. Like this is a crucial moment in this best-of-5 game.
Vincent's board quests for 7. So Lucas has to remove at least 3 lore from the board. And even then, as we see 1 more lore being removed, that giant cobra is perhaps waiting in the deck, ready to strike.
Ready to strike indeed. I don't know what else Lucas really has here. It isn't into the unknown. That is some sort of removal.
There's still
here.
5 lore. There's still 5
That's
lore.
That's going to be the game. It's game 3 going to Vincent. He has swung into this game, is now in the lead. It's 2-1. Okay, Lucas is going to be on the play again. He's going to need everything that he can have to stay in this game. But Vincent is 1 game away from being crowned as the Disney Lorcana Challenge Champion here in Bologna. Not only that, will secure a potential invite to the Disney Lorcana World Championship as well.
That was the most important game
Huge,
of
absolutely
this
huge
series.
I am thoroughly impressed. Like, I have to say, I do feel for Lucas.
It's not over yet.
It really felt like a heavy, uninkable hand there, taking an entire turn off to simply play a hypnotic strike and then a finder's keepers. But I do think that's what he needed to do. The game would have been quite different if that Monstro was picked up from those cards that were drawn.
And there was so many difficult inking decisions. There was 3 different copies of Strength of a Raging Fire inked. And despite that, it wasn't even close in the end. It was a huge win. Absolutely outstanding stuff. Amethyst Steel gets the win on the draw and is now 1 game away from taking down Disney Lorcana Challenge Bologna.
This is such an amazing story, in my opinion. We talked about it a little bit earlier. In my opinion, if I'm an Amethyst Steel player and I sit down and I face a Sapphire Amethyst deck, I'm feeling a little bit nervous.
Definitely.
Like from everything we've seen, a lot of testing, it's an extremely tricky matchup. So I think this win was absolutely huge for Vincent, because even if Lucas wins the next game on the play, evening it out at 2-2 for the final game of this best of 5, that would mean that Vincent is on the play, Joe.
It would certainly mean that, and it has been an absolutely outstanding day and weekend here in Bologna. Don't forget, Disney Lorcana Challenge Milwaukee is on the horizon. You're going to be competing.
I believe
in that
you
one.
are too.
There's a chance we might be seeing you over there across the table. So make sure you get yourself down to Milwaukee and your local set championships. If you can't make the trip to North America or many of the other challenges across the world, try your hand at a store championships. You can check out if there's any store championships happening in your local area using the Ravensburger Play Hub store locator. Set championships started this very weekend, and the prize card and playmat available is outstanding. You will get your hands on a legendary promo Maleficent Monstrous Dragon just for showing up and taking part. If you get a top 8, you get a promo Enchanted, and of course that first place prize.
Oh, what a fantastic
champion playmat
that you have in store if you compete in your local set championship. I have to say, and let's talking about playmats, talking about prizes, let's take a look one more time at those all-important prizes here at the DLC in Bologna. The main ones we're going to be having a look at here again. For top 2, a full foil set including all enchanted and all epic cards from the Fabled set. And the first place prize, a foil rare uncut sheet, and of course the Disney Lorcana Challenge trophy. But what else is there for the first place, Joe?
I think the real big prize, listen, that rare uncut sheet is unbelievable. Put it in a frame, stick it on a wall, give it to your grandkids, they'll give it to their grandkids. That is a family heirloom in the making. But that World Championships invitation is just exactly what these players are looking for.
Indeed, yes. Now we're going to be getting into game 4 here. Vincent, 1 victory away from taking down this entire tournament. Both of these players should be extremely proud of making it this far. They've really made a name for themselves, and I have to say, Joe, this is what Disney Lorcana TCG is all about. I love creating a story, driving a narrative for these up-and-coming players. I'd be very curious to know if either Lucas or Vincent competed in the previous DLC challenges, and you know, this is what it's all about. We saw so many players make name for themselves last year, such as Ely, the previous winner, also from France, from DLC Bologna. Last year, we saw, for example, Federico take down Birmingham. We saw Frank Carson win the very first European challenge in Lille last year. And one of these gentlemen sitting down in front of you folks will be crowned the very first Disney Lorcana champion within Season 2 of competitive play for Disney Lorcana.
Yeah, and I just love to see the players as they're shuffling, having a little chat across the table. This is what it's all about. We have fun, we make friends along the way, and both of these players are having a wonderful time here in Italy I am absolutely sure of that. There was an Infinity constructed event going on earlier on in the day as well. So many players taking part in that. I saw Zan Syed having a good old time in the Infinity format. There's been Pack Crush events. I saw Super Sealed. I saw Team Super Sealed. I saw duos. So much Disney Lorcana TCG action here in Bologna, even outside this wonderful main event, as we will see Lucas kicking things off and inking a Dumbo. Never like to see Dumbo in the inkwell, but that's part of the beauty of this card. You can put it in the inkwell.
Yeah, and I don't believe there's going to be a one-cost card established here for Lucas. We saw the importance of having the Basil available in that previous game.
Vincent inks Smee, plays Captain Hook. I'm not too sure Mr. Smee is going to be very happy about being inked for Captain Hook, but there we are. Lucas inking the Argo. Is there the ramp? Of course there's the ramp.
Of course there's
Lucas
the ramp.
has built his deck to find the ramp on turn 2, and so far, even in the 4th game, has done it every... In fact, they missed it one time, didn't they? Mm-hmm. They missed it when we had... maybe it was the semi-final they missed it. It was the semi-final they missed it. One game. But they found it on turn 3.
That does happen. I mean, you know, we were talking about percentages and, like, you know, you were saying quantum mechanics and math. That's what matters here. It's all about the consistency. Probably sitting around at least a 90 to 95% chance of getting that turn to ramp. But a double 1-drop being established here for Vincent. It's that Diablo and the Happy, I have to say, was fantastic in the previous game. Just simply a 2-1 character. We talked about it combining with Dumbo, but I was extremely impressed of how cleanly it was able to take out
happy
that
to see
Elsa.
it?
I was
Genie
very
comes
happy
through.
to see the challenge onto the Elsa 5th Spirit. Genie does indeed come through.
I think it's the first time we've seen Lucas play the Genie on turn 3. We saw Iago twice, we saw Dumbo, but for the 4th game in the Grand Finals, finally, the more orthodox turn 3 player play for this Sapphire Amethyst is that Genie on the job.
I know I keep talking about this, Happy, but it's extremely important in this situation. Let's say we see that 5-cost Elsa come down for Lucas here. Could use the Genie Wish Fulfilled and the Elsa to take out this Genie Satisfied Dragon. And the importance of having this Happy means that it can trade back into either Elsa or Genie.
Diablo, going to quest for 1, of course. Whenever Diablo banished in a challenge, is going to draw a card. Now, when you're playing against Elsa here, do you ever also exert the Captain Hook? The decision is no from Vincent. Leaves the rest of the characters ready. Of course, it's very likely when you're playing against Lucas with 4 Elsa. Look at Lucas just looking over at Vincent right now. They're having a little chat. They're enjoying their time to shine here. The French players, they know that France is going to come out on top here in Bologna regardless for the 2nd year in a row. It seems as though the French players enjoy playing in Bologna.
They are incredibly, incredibly talented players. We've had the pleasure of even being able to attend some Disney Lorcana events within France, and I have to say the community is absolutely outstanding. There is that all-important 5-cost Elsa. It seems to never be missing from Lucas's hand, and this is exactly what I talked about. We're going to see the Elsa and the Genie challenge in to banish the dragon, and this Happy is going to be putting in a lot of work.
It's putting in so much
crazy
work.
How much this Happy is doing here, right?
Not only is the Happy able to take out the Genie, but it's also playing around the bell, healing up the damage on the Genie. If you don't get rid of the Genie this turn, it's going to become a lot more difficult to deal with. And Vincent being 1 jump behind, well, Fire the Cannons deals with Elsa, Happy deals with Genie. You can't play Elsa this turn if you're Vincent because you don't have enough ink. But the Happy does the job alongside Fire the Cannons.
Yeah, so that was really, really great to see from Vincent. Unfortunately, I would have loved to see a 3-cost character developed as well, but it doesn't look like Vincent had one available in the hand here. It looks like it's simply a Dumbo, the 9th wonder of the universe, coming down onto the board here for Lucas. Let's see if Vincent can get access to some tools to potentially disrupt this Dumbo. It's going to be a Dumbo of their own coming down.
Vincent's in the lead by a significant margin, 6-0. Vincent did not ink this turn, though. They were 1 jump behind. Well, suddenly, they're going to be 2 jumps behind if Lucas inks this turn.
A second Elsa comes down. This is going to be a Dumbo trade. It's rarely seen, but Lucas really wants to remain in control of this board.
No ink from Lucas either. Both players not inking in the last turn, valuing that extra card in hand rather than that extra card in their inkwell at this moment in time. Vincent passes again. 3 turns in a row where our Illumineers have not inked.
Indeed, Lucas evaluating some options here, having a look at the cards available in the hand, spreading out their ink, trying to decide what different options, what different strategies they're going to go for here. I think Vincent honestly was very happy to see that Genie wish fulfilled, the perfect body to come down, try and draw a card, but as you mentioned, no ink, so it could be quite a bricky hand here from Vincent.
Wow, there's the bell. And Vincent's done so well to minimize the impact of that bell. That happy and fire the cannons turn was not using much ink, but it was so crucial for Vincent to keep this strong foothold in the early stages of this game. We're moving into the middle stages now with Elsa singing One Jump Ahead. Look, it's not how far I'll go, but it's still a nice way of getting extra ink into the inkwell.
I think it's actually extremely important in this matchup, especially since, as you mentioned, both Illumineers haven't been inking too much. So suddenly Lucas is going to have such a massive ink advantage over Vincent. Vincent not even at that 5 ink threshold to be establishing
Is there
their
another
own
bell?
Elsas.
Is there another bell? But this one from Vincent, they only play 2 in the deck. But does Vincent have a bell available?
There would only be 2 ink available to be exerted
Of course.
here. Potentially,
I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit.
Potentially the next turn it may be seen. I wonder if there's a 2-cost character that can be established. It does look like a couple of cards available in the hand for Vincent. Vincent might be laughing, saying, I might just have to play a dock, potentially get rid of some uninkables. Is going to opt to ink the Pete and take out the Elsa 5th Spirit with the strength of a raging fire.
Yeah, that's not exactly what you're looking for if you're Vincent. Of course, we know that Bell is so powerful, but using Hypnotic Strength and Strength of a Raging Fire to deal with just one Elsa, not too spectacular as Monstro enters the board and Bell quests for 2, closing the gap. It's 6 lore to 2. Vincent's still in the lead, but it's starting to swing in favor of Lucas. Imagine if that card in Lucas's hand is a 2nd star to the right. Vincent might need to try and play around that, but doesn't seem to be able to remove this Bell or Monstro just yet.
Indeed, yes, we have. This Monstro, by the way, I have to say, I have no clue how Amethyst Steel can deal with such a big card. A 6/8 stat line.
It's a lot of
that
stats.
Also quests for 2. So this character, not only essential at being able to rush and take out opposing characters, but is also going to be able to quest and put on the pressure, progress the win condition for Lucas. We do see that Elsa Spirit of Winter come down and essentially freeze 2 of Vincent's characters here.
Yep, the Deep Freeze ability coming through. Dumbo and Genie won't be readying, but they are the only evasive characters on the board. And this Dumbo, if it can start ticking along next turn, Vincent can fill up the hand. They might have a really good opportunity there to start going wide. And going wide they will. Yzma enters the party as well. The Conniving Chemist.
The Conniving Chemist, indeed. We've seen this card kind of come in and out of these Amethyst Steel decks, and I have to say, I am definitely a fan here. As I mentioned earlier, card draw is king, and yes, we have Genie Wish Fulfilled, yes, we have Doc, but Yzma, when the hand gets so low, is very great at being able to refill the hand. However, Lucas really does seem to be in control of the game here. Such strong characters on the board.
Big quest.
Questing for a total of 7 here, all the way up to 13 total lore.
And Calhoun has resist too, so how did the 2 damage counters remove the Calhoun?
Well, when you're moving damage counters, it actually bypasses the resist if you were unfamiliar with that. By the way, I believe it's resist 1, correct?
It is resist 1, my mistake.
Yes.
I misspoke. But yeah, the 2 damage counters enough. Vincent's going to scoop it up, and we will be going to a Game 5 in this best of 5 grand finals. However, the script was flipped in that all-important Game 3, as it will be Amethyst Steel on the play.
Vincent has to be extremely happy with being able to win on the draw there. As you said, the tables have been turned. Vincent in such a strong position going into Game 5. This will be the very last game of the Disney Lorcana Challenge here in Bologna. After this game, we will be crowning our very first champion here for the Season 2 of competitive play.
And it is almost 11 p.m. local time. The venue opened up at 8 a.m. These players have been playing non-stop since Saturday morning. Many of these players also having really tricky travel to Bologna.
Oh, don't get me started. Woo.
There might have been a few sleepless nights in the lead up to this tournament. The players, though, are not showing any signs of exhaustion just yet. They are putting on an absolute show, and it is a pleasure to be here watching it. Game 5, Amethyst Steel. I'm looking in my opening hand. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, sing Strength of a Raging Fire, and just get off to a quick start.
Indeed, yeah. The energy and the atmosphere in this room is absolutely electric at the moment. I have to give a huge shout out to our spectators outside here. They are in the venue, but they are also watching along with the stream, supporting their friends. They are eager to see which one of these players is going to be crowned as our champion, and I am so excited to get into this final game.
Yeah, it has been a wonderful event here in Bologna. So many amazing moments. I look back to yesterday and seeing Ruby Amber on stream, shifting a Mulan onto a flop-on Mulan was a great moment. I remember last night when the venue was getting ready to close down, we saw Justice play one of the fastest games of Disney Lorcana, beating the clock with his Emerald Amethyst Bend to My Will deck. We saw Emerald Steel being one game away from a grand final, and we find ourselves with Amethyst Sapphire, the top seed, going second in the final game of the finals.
Yeah, we're not letting anything stop us here. We have had a little bit of issues earlier on, but we are not gonna let that prevent us from showing you this grand finals. I have to say, Joe, you had the honor and the privilege of being part of the crew, the caster crew from the previous season. How was it? Talk to me a little bit about that first event in Lille, the finals. It was Frank Carson versus a friend of yours, Reese.
Yep.
What was it like to cast that finals back then?
Yeah, I mean, just the emotions. What I'll say about that is Reese, a very good friend of mine, big shout out to him. He still looks back at that finals and thinks, what if?
Yes.
And these players are not going to want to leave anything behind here. They've done themselves proud. What an achievement it is to get this far, but they are within touching distance of, as Dumbo would say, making history.
Indeed, we're going to be bringing you Game 5 as soon as we can.
Yeah.
Trust me when I say there's no one more that wants to show you this game than us two sitting right here.
Yeah, and of course, don't forget, Set Championships coming up. Have a little look at this Elsa playmat. These players have secured this. Some wonderful Disney Lorcana Challenge prizes are on offer for our players. Amethyst Steel. Earlier on in the weekend, I called it the vanilla deck of the format, which might not sound very respectful towards Amethyst Steel, but I'll have you know that vanilla ice cream is my favourite kind of ice cream.
I actually have to agree with you there, Joe. I'm a big fan of vanilla ice cream, and
It's just simple, it's good, it's honest, and it does a good job.
Indeed.
Sometimes you don't need anything more than that.
Indeed. Here we are going into Game 5, the final game here at the Disney Lorcana Challenge in Bologna. We're going to have Lucas facing off against Vincent. Let's have a look at these opening hands and the potential alters coming out from these Illumineers.
Vincent will be going first. I can see the altering phase is happening. Calhoun, a 2-cost character, actually being altered away potentially here by Vincent, unless that's what they're going to be keeping. You would certainly imagine this Obedient Raven turn 1 play for Vincent is going to be the one of choice. I think I can see a Strength of a Raging Fire in the mix as well. It's a little bit hard to make out. Lucas just getting ready and waiting, and is that 7 cards?
Going for 7. Could this be the one game where Lucas doesn't
Let's
find that turn
look
to the
at
ramp.
Lucas's facial expression. Is anything given away by that? I would say no. I think Lucas is he's reminding me of Ed a little bit. Not
Yes.
in terms of the deck building. The deck building is very different from Ed's, but the mannerisms at the table, the way that he's just trying to hide that information from his opponent in terms of his facial expressions, but just staring down the opponent is just so interesting to see. Can you get any little bit of extra information?
Yeah, he's got a hint of the Ed stare, as it's known. And I have to say, that's something that I definitely struggle with when I play this game. I'm a very emotional person, but Lucas has perfected this art. They're very calm, they're very collected, and they're trying to read Vincent's body language. Any hints of seeing, were they happy about this card that was drawn? Are they happy about their opening hand? This can be very, very key to seeing how confident each player is.
Yep, one little final shuffle of each other's decks. They're then likely to cut the deck as well for that final time here in Bologna. The Disney Lorcana Challenge Season 2 is here. We're barely getting begun, but this is the final chapter, or the final moment of the first chapter. Something like that.
Indeed it is. It is the final moment of the first chapter of this competitive Season 2. Players extending the fists, having that fist bump, full respect to each other.
Lucas was like ready to go.
He was ready to be on the play.
First,
oh my God.
No.
He's been first seed.
Vincent shakes the hand at the camera. Absolutely brilliant showmanship from both our players, having a great time, and Joyo is down on the board, and I think Vincent is feeling rather Joyo right now.
We have seen this Happy do so much work in this grand finals. A one-cost Basil has been inked. What does that signify to you, Joe?
Yeah, one-cost Basil inked. Not playing a one-cost character. Maybe a lot of uninkables in Lucas's opening hand. Do they have the ramp? Arguably, Tipo at this moment in time might be a little bit better just because it could deny the Happy from questing. Basil into the ink. Big moment. It's there. It's the one jump ahead.
Again, that one jump ahead. You mentioned it already, Joe. If this card was not in the deck, we would not see Lucas ramping here. But missing that one-cost character is... It's very, very rough indeed. Seeing the one jump ahead play does also signify that there could be quite a lot of uninkables in the hand.
White Rose comes through from Vincent. Not the best turn 3 play when compared with a Genie, but the important thing in this position is that a 3-cost character has been developed, and Vincent might have Strength of a Raging Fire waiting in the wings, ready to be sung. Lucas, it is their third turn, but they can go to 4 ink. Tipo into the inkwell, and for 4, it's that Iago. Has Vincent got the Vanish answer? Lucas waits with anticipation.
Yzma. It's the Strength of a Raging Fire being able to take out that Iago. Giant spectral power, and Vincent is in full control of this opening game right now.
And it's a huge moment. The crowd's going wild. There's 6 lore for Vincent. Lucas, no lore, no glimmers on the board, but 4 ink to play with. Can go up to 5, and we know that Elsa, or perhaps that Ursula Voice Stealer playing into the unknown, might be their optimal line, but it's a Genie on the job. No Elsa here for Lucas to remove that Happy.
Yes, but this is incredibly important that Vincent is on the play here. There is a potential 5 ink available. We could see a combination of Elsa, the 5th spirit, coming down, being able to exert that Genie, and combining with this Happy, which I cannot overstate, has done an incredible amount of work this game. Judging on how Vincent is separating their ink piles, it looks like it might be another 4-cost card.
Is there no cards in hand for Vincent? The Yzma, Conniving Chemist, ability activated. Vincent can draw up to 3 cards, and they had no cards in hand, so 3 cards, the maximum amount was found. Yzma not questing for 2, but exerting and activating that ability, and Dumbo down on the board just for good measure.
This is so much pressure on Vincent's side of the board. Already at a total of 9 lore right now, is only 11 away from taking this game.
Is there a bell? Is there a bell? The genie takes out the Mr. Smee.
There is!
Bell is there. The 3 strength of Mr. Smee comes back to bite Vincent. I gotta mention, Cree, there was 1 ink not spent by Vincent in the last turn. Was the sequencing slightly off there with that Dumbo 9th Wonder of the universe? I wonder if Vincent could have used that making history ability with either Happy or Mr. Smee to gain 1 extra card in hand, as there was 1 ink open.
I think that this Bell accomplished Mystic was absolutely huge, but the Elsa 5th Spirit coming through can combine with this Happy, can take out this Genie Wish Fulfilled is exactly what we're going to see. I might be calling Happy the MVP of this Grand Finals, Joe.
Yeah, and Yzma is still down on the board, but of course, plenty of cards in hand for Vincent, so we're not going to be seeing her exerting to draw. That's for certain. The decision for Vincent, though, is would they like to exert to gain lore? They could quest for 3 with the White Rose and Yzma, which would put them at 12 and 8 lore away, but it is a crucial moment in this match. If you quest with Yzma, the Bell will be able to challenge her. I would imagine Vincent is either going to quest with both or quest with neither.
Yes, I have a very, very interesting question here for you, Joe. So obviously being able to take out that Genie Wish Fulfilled was incredibly crucial for Vincent, but did also have the option to just use the Elsa and the Happy to challenge into this Bell instead. That means that the challenges available for Lucas would not have been very good. Yzma and White Rose could have quested for 3 and would have felt a lot more protected than they're feeling right now, because this Bell accomplished Mystic as a 4/4 can challenge quite easily into their stat lines. How do you feel about that play?
It's very, very, very interesting. And we've talked, as we see the double quest, we've talked about time management a lot this weekend and how the very best players and experienced players, I think is really a better way of phrasing it, know when to play quickly, know when to play slowly. I wonder if when Vincent's watching this match back, they just wish they slowed down that tiny little bit on these past couple of turns. There was definitely some really crucial decisions here. I like the position they're in a lot. What a match this has been. Bell on the board for Lucas.
Imagine we have a second Bell come out here for Lucas. This could be absolutely insane. Would allow them to take out the Elsa or the White Rose. I think Vincent might regret the decision that they made to take out the Genie rather than the Bell here.
And there is no Bell, but there is an Elsa, there is a Hypnotic Strength, and suddenly board presence is in favor of Lucas. Vincent with the White Rose down on the board, but there's 3 cards, I believe, in their hand, and they are 8 lore away. At this stage in the game, does Vincent ever start taking some trades? Do they challenge the Bell? Imagine a Bell off the top of the deck for Vincent. You could move 1 damage from Elsa onto the Bell accomplished Mystic. That would be very strong right now.
I think Bell would be one of the best cards available to Vincent here, but potentially a Fire the Cannons as well would be huge.
Oh
we
my
do
goodness,
see the
Cobra.
Giant Cobra come down. A card going to be discarded by Vincent here. Has the potential to get up to a total of 15 lore right now.
Does quest with the White Rose. Vincent is 5 lore away from that World Championships invitation and, of course, being crowned champion here in Bologna. Vincent has no cards in hand. Second star to the right is sung by Lucas. 5 cards being drawn, but that means this White Rose will not be traded out by this Bell. Can Lucas deal with any of Vincent's characters? They can quest up to 18 this next turn unless Lucas removes some characters.
Yes, needs a card like the Monstro, needs a card like the Hades Infernal Schemer. Again, Lucas separating the Inkwell into a couple of different areas here. We could also see certain stuff like, I can see 2 ink here, right? We could see something like a Hypnotic Strength that's simply going to be able to banish this Giant Cobra. Could be very, very nice.
Oh, it's another Bell. That is absolutely outstanding. Just what Lucas needed. Actually, the Jafar, the preferred option, interestingly, instead of that White Rose, 3 ink still available.
Oh my word, we see the Into the Unknown played. It sends that white rose to the inkwell, and now Vincent is running quite low on cards, but Vincent recognizes the win condition here, has to keep questing as much as possible, but Lucas has an abundance of cards available in the hand, and I'm sure that they have an efficient way to deal with this Elsa.
Vincent, 4 lore away. The board quest for 2. Hades comes through, and it's going to be Elsa into ink. Vincent has so much ink right now, but no cards in hand, no characters on board. Lucas's time to quest is now, and the gap is beginning to be closed. Big top deck. A dock right now could open the window for Vincent.
It's a white rose! Absolutely insane here, going up to a total of 17 lore. Again, Lucas has plenty of options available in the hand to take out this white rose. But we're edging closer and closer to that 20 lore for Vincent. Now, Joe, it's very important. We talked about card counts. Both white roses have already been played, so we're going to be relying on cards like the Giant Cobra
Elsa.
and the Duck coming out. Elsa exerting that white rose, Hades making the challenge to banish it. Vincent is in desperate need of a Duck Bold Knight right here.
It looks like it might have been the bell, but it just feels like it might have been a couple turns too late. Lucas is looking confident. Vincent is not looking too happy with the situation they find themselves in. They're 3 lore away from winning Bologna, but Lucas's board is wide and it quests for a lot. Hades will have the damage from itself moved on over to Elsa thanks to that bell.
Indeed it does.
Yep,
Well,
so Hades 3 damage, moved over to Elsa. Lucas's board currently quests for 7.
Wow.
That is a 2-turn clock.
This is very, very, very important. If there's another Elsa 5th Spirit easily able to take out the Bell-accomplished Mystic and Into the Unknown coming out, Vincent is in desperate need for an answer, but I have to tell you, Joe, I don't know if anything can do it, even a duck. This is the game. I don't know what else Vincent has in store. Lucas is simply going to quest for enough to win the game, and we have our very first champion being crowned here at the Disney Lorcana Challenge in Bologna. Lucas on Sapphire Amethyst has taken the win. A huge congratulations to them. They must be feeling absolutely ecstatic at the moment.
What a great
the
reaction.
players coming in.
An absolutely outstanding moment there. What a victory, quite literally making history. Dumbo's been the talk of the town, and history has been made in Bologna. What a final full of twists and turns, the best of 5, and each player winning 1 game on the draw. And what a final. I don't think we could have asked for much more.
I don't think we could have asked for much more, indeed. I think, Vincent, after winning that game on the draw, probably felt very, very, very confident going into that game. There's a couple of key decisions in that match.
Moments.
I feel like Vincent might be watching that back and have a little bit of regret of the decisions that were made. Like you said, Joe.
I think it's that time management.
It is the time management. Taking a little bit slow. Was very happy to see that Elsa 5th Spirit and say, oh, I've got the happy, let me take out the evasive character. I think it was not challenging and banishing that bell. I think that was the turning point of that game.
Yeah, and maybe time management isn't quite the right phrase, because when we're playing Disney Lorcana at big competitive events, usually the clock is such a huge factor, and managing that is a really big skill. In this case, it was just recognizing when to slow down. The pace of play was outstanding. Remember, it is 11 p.m. here in Bologna. Both players are ready to get back and go to bed, I'm sure, but at that big crucial moment, I think around turn 4 to 5, there was 1 ink that was left unused, which could have added an extra card to hand, and we saw how close it was. That 1 extra card in hand could have made all the difference, but that is why we play this game. It is incredibly difficult to get every decision correct, perhaps even arguably impossible to do so. The skill ceiling in Disney Lorcana TCG is there for all to see, and what a weekend we've had. I just love this game.
Indeed, yeah. This game is absolutely phenomenal. We've been playing for a little over 2 years now, Joe, and you know, if you asked me 2 years ago, would we be sat here together casting the finals of this, I would have never believed you. So I really want to take a moment. It's been an absolute honor, an absolute pleasure to sit here in front of you all and cast this game. I have to say, it was a little bit of a dream of mine to cast. And, you know, I really wanted it last season. I watched you guys. I was thoroughly impressed. So it's definitely a big moment for me, but not as big of a moment as it is for Lucas, who has secured that World Championship invite, the very first player that will be going to the Disney Lorcana World Championship within Season 2.
Yeah, and of course, a huge congratulations to both players for an outstanding run, outstanding achievement, and a huge thank you to everybody watching. But don't go anywhere. We've got well, not big news. We've got big celebrations ready to come. Of course, those golden Mickey Mouse cards have been being handed out. We have got to say a huge thank you to all the tournament staff here in Bologna for letting this event happen. Indeed. The judges, they're working so tirelessly, so selflessly. They are the true heroes of this community. Thank you to all of our casting colleagues, especially the Italian casters who have been putting in so much work over on that Italian stream. Rebecca's come all the way on over from the States, and Baker, the other host. Not to forget, of course, Kim and Erica, who we've had by our side, the production team, Ravensburger, the players, the viewers. It is a wonderful community to be part of. Everyone here in Bologna's had a great weekend, and I just now want to go to another DLC, please.
I'm ready for a pizza.
Yeah, I'm ready
for a pizza, Joe. I'm super excited to eat some food. But yes, we will be sending it over to the interview area where I believe Rebecca and Baker will be having a few words with our DLC champion.
Yes, we are here for Disney Lorcana Challenge Bologna. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us. We are so excited to present to you your champion. But first, we want to give huge congratulations to Vincent Desiderio. Come on here. Our second place, congratulations. We are so honored to watch your journey with that Blurple deck that you were playing. With that Amethyst Steel deck that you were playing. I was rooting for you. I was rooting for the Amethyst Steel deck to come through. Yes. Well, let's give it up, everyone here. Let's give it up for second place. Thank you.
Yeah, you soak in. That's fine, man. You soak in. A huge congratulations. We look forward to seeing you at the European Championship. Thank you so much. If you just take a step over there, because now we need to invite on our champion of DLC Bologna, Lucas Masilom. Congratulations, my friend.
Congratulations. We want to hear from you about this weekend, this tournament. What is that you have a crew here. We have a whole crew here cheering you on. Is there a special moment that stands out for you from this weekend, from this Bologna Disney Lorcana Challenge?
The community, the best community.
Yes, it is. It's a wonderful community.
Yes.
Amazing
community.
Short and sweet answer, the community for Disney Lorcana, one of the best in the world, in my opinion. Last thing I just want to ask you, what's next for you? Where can we see you next? Do you have any plans, or is it just skipping straight to the European Championship? What are you going to do next?
World Championship and European, and Lorca Quest 2. The Lorca Quest 2 in French. It's in Paris.
Coming up shortly. Amazing.
Okay, we have some incredible prizes for you. Cooper from Ravensburger is here to present you with your champion trophy. Here it is.
You flex it, man. Flex it.
Yeah.
Show it off. Show it off.
shiny. We have
It's
a few
beautiful.
other goodies for you as well. Of course, that Elsa playmat, your golden Mickey Mouse, brave little Taylor, and of course, the entire Fabled set, foils, epics, and enchanted. There is too many things to hold, too many amazing prizes.
Too many amazing prizes. A huge congratulations to you. And they're not finished yet. We've got the uncut sheet. Look at this absolute beauty. What are you doing with this? Going up on the wall?
Oh, I don't know. Faut qu'il rentre dans l'avion déjà. Comment on dit faut qu'il rentre dans l'avion?
Needs to figure it out how he can take back home now.
Yes,
How he's going to
yes,
get it
I'm gonna
home? That's
home.
the first question
Yes,
to
yes,
ask.
Yes.
Illumineers, please give it up one more time for not only Vincent DeSerio, but our first champion of the new season, Lucas Marcelem. Thank you so much, guys. We would like to offer you to just step off there. You're going to have a word with Ravensburger. And I'd like to invite back on our wonderful casting team.
Broadcast team, come on
Come
up.
and join us. Both our English language team and, of course, our beautiful Italian team. Come and join us, guys. What a weekend it has been. It is so good to be back in season for Disney Lorcana competitive play, opening things off extremely strong with DLC Bologna. I want to say thank you to the entire casting team for your passion, your dedication, for bringing these stories to life for the Lorcana community. But it's not going to be long before the next event. We have DLC Milwaukee coming up in just a couple of weeks. Stay tuned for that, but we're going to see you very soon. Goodbye, everybody!
Goodbye. And thank you to our judges.